Today on the Shrewd Dudes podcast, we are going to talk about a few different things. In this week in satire, we're going to talk about even though there's a sign saying exterminate the Jews, nobody really knows what Hamas is for. So, I think it's for exterminating the Jews. But we'll find out.
They are synonyms.
It is true. In the rants of the week, we are going to go over Elon Musk and his addressing of the fact that Twitter was crazy leftist and it still has some lingering problems.
To be fair, he's the only one who really stopped the zombie apocalypse.
And he's done a lot of good work. And so we applaud him for that.
All hail Elon.
All hail Elon. It's the obligatory thing here. And nothing to see here. We'll talk about a whole bunch of horrible reactions to points of view on Israel versus Palestine.
Oh, wonderful.
And then in the Shrewd Check, we're going to talk about a woman who thinks it would be totally no big deal if she got abducted by Hamas. So, yeah, that's
it's
stupid.
Like you want to tell her or am I?
Well, I think all of us. It's just going to be like one gigantic smackdown of stupid.
Yeah, she needs a crash course in reality.
Crash course in reality is right. And of course, in the weekly exposure and weekly highlight, we're going to talk about stuff from the Freedom Convoy and highlight a film by PragerU about detransitioners. So all of that and more on the Shrewd Dudes podcast. Welcome back after 1 week of no show because we had to do Halloween.
Halloween!
Oh no.
You know that show, don't you? It's Halloween!
Oh, what was that? That was season 2?
Yep.
Yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. When they're talking
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
They're talking about, because it was Holt in disguise.
Holt.
Halloween!
That's right, it was Holt. It's Halloween!
And he's like, hey, okay.
That is about as quirky as Holt got.
Well, I think the quirkiest Holt got was when he was eating marshmallow.
Yeah, that's right.
It was like,
yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Sure. That was a really weird one.
But my favorite line. I actually told this to a friend of mine the other day, and I'm like, what is the most iconic, phrase you could say? And I'm like, Bing pot.
Bing pot.
Like, yeah. I'm like, it's from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Bing pot. Come on.
Bing pot, baby. Bing pot.
That's right. That's the way to go.
You can't go wrong with Bing pot.
You really can't. It applies to almost
so
everything.
Iconic. Yes. So, because we haven't had a show in a week, Danny, how are things going?
Well, two big things. Number one, my old roommate Chad and I used to work for work together, and today was it was going to be last week, but then his start date of his new job was delayed. So today was officially the last day him and I worked together.
Oh,
that's like 4 years of working together, and today was the last day. So that was kind of a big end.
That is
and then another major thing is that it looks like my mom and I we're just trying to hash out the when exactly we leave, but looks like tomorrow we're going to get the final tickets, and we're going to buy our tickets to Mexico. So that's right, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it should be a very fun for you.
Probably be the biggest trip that I've ever I've made in the last couple of years.
Oh yeah.
Well, not embarked on ever, but like at least in the last couple of years. And the other thing is that originally we're going to fly out from Kelowna.
Yeah.
But we kind of rearranged that, and we're going to fly out from here, which I'm like, oh, thank God. That's like so much better because it's flying from Kelowna means I had to fly back there, and then immediately after flying back, I'd have to drive all the way here. And I'm like, I'd rather do that when I have time rather than doing it in one shot and then having to work the next day. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll try something else.
Maybe you'll try something
else. Much better. So, yeah. How about you, man?
Yeah, no, so my week for myself hasn't been that interesting.
I mean, you did have a Halloween party on Tuesday.
Okay, I did, yeah, and that was fun. Like, we went trick-or-treating with the kids, and the kids really enjoyed it, and they had a lot of fun trick-or-treating, as always, as kids do. Got a bunch of candy. Me?
Mhm.
So I went to a Halloween party last Friday, and I dressed up as Pierre Polyev with an apple, and nobody got it.
I know. I would have gotten
Not
it.
even Tate, because Tate was like a huge Pierre Polyev fan, and he's like, I have no idea who you're supposed to be. And I'm like, I'm Pierre, and he's like, I don't get it. So I showed him the video, and he's like, most people are not going to understand that, but I like it. And then
it's a little too nuanced.
It was a little too nuanced. You had to be fairly like involved and aware of politics to get it. But and then the kids dressed up. Curtis dressed up as Pikachu. Tori dressed up as Elsa for like her third time.
Nice.
Becky
that girl's got to learn. Like
I know.
Got to learn a new
originality. Yep.
Yeah.
And then Becky dressed up as Wonder Woman, and Abby was an autumn fairy.
Oh,
it was very
cute.
But that wasn't the most interesting point of my week. The most interesting point actually happened when I was away yesterday. So I had a crazy headache in the morning yesterday, so I just didn't go to work. And so I showed up today. And my coworker had sent me messages all of yesterday, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like our boss wanted me to have a chat with him about another coworker, about like his work habits and his work ethic." And I'm like, "Okay."
All right.
And I know in my head, I'm like, "Okay, the guy that he wants to talk to him about is pretty much useless."
Mm-hmm.
And like whenever he has a time that he thinks he can get away with it, he basically just does nothing. And so today we come in and we see on the board like so and so, because you have like the vacation and absences, just so people know who's away. And yeah, he's going to be away for the next 2 weeks. And I'm like, and on Monday there was kind of a big stink because he was driving around campus, and whenever he saw a vehicle that had any other members of grounds in it, then he would flip them the bird.
Oh.
And we're like, oh, that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, yeah, he was like hustling everybody else out because he's been here longer than quite a few people, but he's not been given opportunities because of his lack of efforts and poor behavior. And so now we're fairly certain he's now on a 2-week unpaid suspension. So he might be fired before the end of November.
Huh.
Which at the university is very hard to do.
Oh, it's like
basically impossible.
To be fired?
Yep. So interesting to be
sure. Sounds like it was a very eventful day.
Yes. So
dang, man. Well,
dang indeed.
Hopefully better things. Like you'll get replaced by somebody who's actually capable.
Well,
this time around.
Yeah, maybe.
But we gotta get back into it, man. It's gonna be an exciting week. Halloween's come and gone. We gotta get into November. You know what? I'm gonna continue my tradition of not growing a mustache this November. That is my tradition.
Oh, mine looks super scuzzy when I try and grow it. It looks awful.
There's so many people who cannot grow a mustache no matter how hard they try. I can easily grow a mustache. My facial hair is very... It's hard to keep it down.
See, I can grow like... Mine grows, and then it'll stop when it reaches like the kind of the teenage boy like perv stage.
You're like the...
And it'll just stay there for a very, very long time, and it's like, oh, this is kind of unnerving. So, before we get going into the rants of the week, or This Week in Satire, if you're watching on Twitch or Twitter, then hello, Patriot Concierge. Wow, I could not say that properly. So if you're watching on Twitch or Twitter, then of course let us know by sending us a comment on the live stream. If you want to send us a comment or a message that we can answer at the end of the show, then post it onto Twitch. And hello, hey ho, Zoivak. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that name properly.
That looks right, Zoivak.
I hope so. I don't know.
There's always a deeper story behind it.
Yeah, there
wanna
always
hear the
is.
deeper, do you want to hear the deeper story with my nickname? So if
With
anybody
Disakong?
wants on the chat, Disa Kong, there's two parts of it. First of all, like D for Danny. Danny is a Kong because my nickname growing up was Donkey Kong or Danny Kong. So that was my nickname. But the other one is Danny Isaac, which is like my second name, Kong. So I'm like, it works on both levels.
Yeah.
Danny Isaac Kong or Danny is a Kong. Either one. That's the background story to my thing, man.
Is a for sure. You're a monkey.
That's right. But I'm also like, if you actually watch like Donkey Kong on the in the Mario Brothers movie, I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's pretty much me. I'm a loud like show off.
That is true. That is very true.
It is very. I just own it, man. I own it. That's my
all right.
I'll take it.
Well, let's jump into some kind of videos and strange happenstances from the week. So we start off with a video from Brian Krasenstein on Twitter. So he goes off to this video. So I'm going to just read these things and we'll watch it. So there's so much free candy out there in Halloween. That's true. You're going to waste a bunch of kids' time by cleaning an entire bucket. Parents who steal almost will certainly have children who will steal. Who needs as much candy on Halloween? It's almost as if they're doing this just to be evil. I wish that someone was just there inside the house and popped up, surprised them all, like in the middle of the video is going to be on social media, and millions of people would see like what kind of scumbags they are.
Well, so I got the video already. From
yeah. It's a bunch of parents.
Oh, they're Spanish. Oh,
they're Spanish.
They're Spanish. They're only reinforcing the stereotype. Darn you Mexicans.
Yep, darn you Mexicans.
I mean, the funny thing is, like I always make the joke because if you're from a certain culture, you can joke about your culture. Like if you're Chinese, you can make all the jokes you want about drivers. If you're Mexican, you can like make all the jokes you want about like easy or thieves or whatever. But I'm like, come on, at least try not to like follow the stereotype. It's like even the little kid is actually saying like "Andale, mami," which means like, come on, mom, hurry up, mom. I'm like, dang, way to feed into the stereotype. Way to go, people. My goodness. But yeah, like, it's like in previous Halloweens, when I was a kid, I always ran into those houses that have like the buckets, and they basically just say like help yourselves, right? I get why people do that. Sometimes they're not going to be home, like they're going to be out for the night, but they don't want to not give out candy, so they'll put a bowl out. Sometimes
happens all the time
maybe
nowadays.
They'll go to bed. Yeah, sometimes maybe they'll go to bed early and they'll just want to kind of leave some candy.
They're leaving it for the parents,
yes,
and hoping that the parents are going to be decent.
Or even for the kids. A lot of times, like when you have like kids who are like like anywhere between like 8 and 12, they usually can go by themselves. It's the honor system. That's basically the idea behind it, right? Now, is it like do kids take extra? I'm like, sure, kids will take extra. They'll take a couple of extra, candies.
But like when you go trick or treating, like when I take my kids trick or treating, then
fly on your camera.
Get out. Seriously.
Oh, he ain't leaving.
He's not want to leave.
He's like, it's my spot now. I own this place.
You're Frankfurt. Okay, so cool. Zoivak, I have been to Frankfurt, only in the airport, because that's basically where you go.
That doesn't count as being in Frankfurt.
Yeah, I know.
The cardinal rule: if you're in an airport, that doesn't count.
Yes. So technically, when I was in Germany, I was only in the south of Germany in Bavaria, because we went to Neuschwanstein.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, very interesting castle. And it was sort of an interesting day because it was pouring rain and everyone was like soaked to the bone, but I had sandals on and my feet were actually warmer than everybody else's because all their shoes were soaked. And I was like sloshing through this puddle because it was like this drain, and my feet were warmer because the water was warmer than the air. So my feet were actually warm sloshing through the puddle.
It's like you should walk out of there and like literally just say like, even though no one, like, everything's coming out Millhouse.
No, it was a fairly interesting time. We didn't spend much time in Germany, but yeah.
Well, speaking of like overly like
it is
warm,
definitely the most famous and touristic one. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Speaking of overly warm experiences, we got a video for you guys
from the UK.
I showed this to Steven, and he was like, "No." It was like it boggles the mind that somebody would actually
do this because it's just really stupid.
Here's my challenge to you: show this to anybody you know, and ask them, "Can you imagine any scenario where you would do this?"
Yep. So
like literally. So
good old German engineering.
Fest. So prepare yourselves here. Like you're gonna watch, you're gonna be like, "What were you thinking?" You're like, I almost going back. Oh, there it goes.
Oh my god.
The guy's like, I'm in so much pain. It's like, no kidding,
yeah, of
you
course
idiot.
He is. No kidding, dummy.
Well, it's like, honestly, like, the car is still running.
Yes.
Because, like, yes, I've had my radiator go on me.
My goodness.
Back when, like, it was actually the day that Abby was born, I had my radiator blow on me, which sucked because I was, like, wanting to get back to the hospital. Because I went, like, to work because I only needed to go for, like, an hour. And then I was, like, on my way back, and I'm like, oh, no. This guy is effing stupid. Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. Absolutely. I mean, that is exactly what you would think. Like, that was our first thing. I'm like, what the heck are you doing, dummy? Like, yeah. I love his protection. I love what he's thinking. Think about the thought pattern here for this guy. He's like, well, this looks dangerous. I know. I'm going to grab a cloth. That'll protect me. That's my protection right there. I'm going to grab a cloth so I can pull this off safely. That's his safety equipment.
Yeah, Patriot Concierge, you would get a ton of strange and weird looks if you went trick-or-treating as a pack of cigarettes. It'd be like,
oh my gosh.
You okay? Blink twice if you're okay.
Actually, there was this one Halloween. I got we went to a great prop store. It's like a little thing. It looks like a like a glove, and on this like black glove, and on one side is holding like a severed arm, but on the other side it's just got an opening. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So you basically can stick your hand through it, and it looks like if you put it over the glove, it looks like you have a glove, and it's holding on to an arm that's been severed, and the arm will move. So I actually took this to one house with my costume, and the second they opened the door, it's like the dad, it's like a bunch of kids open the door to give out candy, and all of a sudden the little girl looks at me, like she looks right at my arm, she's like, ah! She runs away, and I was like, oh crap, I think we're in trouble, man. Like I think you really freaked her out, and then all of a sudden the dad comes to the front door, he's like, oh, I thought she was kidding. And then I'm like, nope, that's my actual costume. Like, honey, it's not real. Trust me, it's not real. She's like, I don't care. I want to go in the end. That was actually the best costume. I don't think I fooled so many people. They're like, holy crap, what does that look so real? Because it looks like it's just a prop until the hand moves.
Until the hand moves.
Then it looks like an actual separate hand. It's pretty cool, actually. It's a good prop.
Yes, it is.
My goodness.
But let us continue.
I'm sure this guy would have liked a fake prosthetic hand for this one.
All right, so we'll start off. So every week, of course, for those who do not watch the show on the regular, every week we do a This Week in Satire. So this week we have a bit of an extra one. So the Babylon Bee God Rewards only team that doesn't have a Pride Night with a World Series win. So if you haven't learned, the Texans won the World Series last night. They dominated the entire way.
Texas Rangers, not the
Texans.
Oh
yeah, sorry. No, the Houston Texans are an entirely different team.
Texans are like a football team, aren't they?
Yes. No, the Houston Texans are actually the other baseball team in Texas.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I knew there was a Texans team. I thought it was the football team.
Yeah, because the Houston Astros are the other. So Houston Texans are the football team.
I called it.
The
I was
Astros
right.
are the other one.
The Astros, Houston
Yeah.
Astros. That's right.
I don't follow baseball. My dad does.
I've kind of noticed, like World Series win, the Texans. I'm like,
nope, the Rangers. The Rangers.
it's like the Cowboys. The Cowboys have won.
The Dallas Cowboys. No, that's
thanks,
football.
buddy.
I think even our friend in Germany knows the Dallas Cowboys because everybody in the world knows the Dallas Cowboys.
Everybody,
just like everybody knows the Toronto Maple Leafs.
But good on the Texas Rangers. I think that's awesome. And yeah, I don't know. I think everything Texas is always pretty decent.
Yep.
Kind of like everything in Florida is always pretty decent.
Yes, it is. But that is not the only story of the week. So, the other This Week in Satire, we may never know exactly what Hamas wants, says reporter in front of Hamas holding Exterminate Jews from Existence banner.
That's kind of like the reporter from CNN.
Oh yeah, the fiery, mostly peaceful.
Fiery, but mostly peaceful, protest that became iconic.
Oh, accepted iconic. So, members of the media remain unsure of the motivation behind Hamas's violent attacks against Israel. The reporter on the scene left speculating, while Hamas terrorists held up a banner behind her with "Exterminate the Jews from existence" written boldly in all caps. Their motives and goals remain a mystery. The reporter stated as the Hamas terrorists waved the banner in the background. Are they seeking full Palestinian statehood and sovereignty? Are they hoping to improve the lives of the civilians under their charge? Do they want Taylor Swift tickets? Sadly, we may in fact never know what it is they truly want.
This reminds me of that. Did you ever see that video? And it's a comedy sketch where this lady's interviewing a bunch of terrorists.
Yeah.
It's like, excuse me, what is that? I'm like, what the heck is that? I was like,
subtitles.
Subtitles? I speak perfect English.
Seashells.
Such a
I remember that.
That's
and then he talks to the other terrorist. Why doesn't he need subtitles so we can understand him? I'm speaking perfect English. Oh, it's such a quirky video, but it's super funny.
So good. Recommend it.
Yeah, but you're like, you look at that title and you're like, yeah, that's exactly how the media is going with this. They're like, we don't know what Hamas... What? No, we know. We know what they want. We know what... when they chant from the river... About the American... Yeah! We'll...
Put it on the chat.
Put it on the chat. We'll show it. With English subtitles. We'll see what we can do.
I mean, we'll try it out.
We'll roll with it. This is a live show. We do what we can.
Yeah. But it's... By the way, this is what the media does in everything. Do you notice this, Stephen? So, one of the things that they'll do is, there's a mass shooting or some kind of shooting that happened in the States, and they're like, you can almost predict this. It's almost like CNN bingo. If they basically if it's a black guy that went around shooting, it's like somebody today went around shooting people. He had a red shirt and black shoes and a Rolex watch and all those other stuff.
Or reminds me of the Christmas massacre from a few years ago. It was van drives through crowd of people. It's like, what?
Not even kidding. That was an actual.
That was the headline. That was the headline
from one of the publications that we looked at. And I was like, you
cannot be serious.
You have to be legitimately stupid, or basically want to discredit your entire news organization as a news organization by using that.
Yep.
It actually became Babylon B was like, holy crap, we can't make this up
tapping.
Anymore.
They weren't shooting. They were tapping them with bullets. It was love taps.
They were liberating them with bullets.
Oh, liberate! Oh, yeah, very spicy. Very spicy.
Very spicy. That's right. Liberation. It's all about liberation.
All about liberation.
That's right. They were freedom bullets. Freedom bullets, I tell you. Oh my gosh! But yeah, it's if anybody who's ever followed Ben Shapiro's entire thing, it's they're not even hiding it. They're not even trying to hide their actual feelings about Israel and what their actual purposes are. It's imagine they're interviewing the leader of Hamas, the actual head honcho of Hamas.
Okay.
And he's like, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? It's we want to kill all the Jews. Okay, but no, really, what is it What motivates you? Killing Jews. That's what we like. It's okay, so maybe you can unpack. We just want to really get down to the truth. We want to kill Jews. We want to kill them all. It's okay, so it's about Palestinian liberation, two-state solutions. You are stupid. We want to kill them all the Jews. It's that's basically what they are.
Yeah.
So you got the video?
Oh, okay. We'll start off with we'll start with it.
Okay.
It's 12 minutes long, so we can't watch
12
the whole
minutes
thing.
long. Okay.
So
Okay,
we're gonna
we'll see what
watch
we got.
a few minutes of it, and we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
I'm curious. I've got.
Yes. Okay. Here. Let's try and pronounce this. I will butcher your language so bad.
Volker Pispers.
Okay, no. This is a job.
Eklart.
Volker Pispers Eklart Geld und Schulden. Wie du dies Schulden schnellstens loswerst.
That's terrible. That's terrible. By the way, there's a rule in German, and maybe like Sylvia confirmed this to me. I had a friend. I think you knew her, Stephen. Rachel Lust. Do you remember Rachel Lust?
I do.
Okay. Our friend she's German, but she was born in Canada, and she comes from a German family. And she went to Germany to study something university. She was told her German was not adequate, and she was told, "Nope, stop speaking German. You're speaking English." They were super like strict about no, we do not tolerate people who are not speaking proper German.
Proper German.
And I was like, dang, man, they're tough on their German. They don't like people try to pretend like they speak German. And I was like, dang, that's rough. Well, anyways, so you got your pronunciation. Let's see what's good.
Yep. Okay.
Die Finanzkrise ist ein reines Getue und Gemache.
Okay, let's see if I can get.
Seit 6 Jahren beschäftigen wir uns mit einer Krise, die nur einen einzigen Grund hat.
The subtitles are not in English.
Echte Arbeit haben,
Arbeitssklaven
weiter zu degradieren. Die Banken dürfen systemrelevant.
Yeah, I can't get closed captioning in anything other than German.
Wie stellst du dir das jetzt vor? So wir die Bank zumachen und arbeiten gehen, um die Schulden abzubezahlen.
So
I think I know what's going on. So he's in Germany. So I think what's happening is that in Germany, you can choose in German YouTube. Probably choose English subtitles, but I don't think they have that option in Canada.
It says auto translate, so we can try.
Okay, let's see.
So it'll be like Google Translate.
That's gonna be even worse.
Let's watch. Okay.
You got English?
Let's go for it.
Haben wir hier blöd auf der Stirn stehen.
Pay off the debts.
Was macht die Bank in so einem Fall? Sie leitet man 11.000
she lends the man 11,000 euros
und sagt davon,
and says 1,000 back from CDC plus the interest. This time he doesn't get a note for shopping. It's just when the bank's books are written, the bank's balance sheet increases, but only has to give 11,000.
Kommt nicht mehr in Umlauf, deshalb haben wir keine Inflation seit Jahren. In einem Jahr sagt die Bank, was ist mit der 11.000 Euro? Was soll denn damit sein? Ich habe die nicht gesehen. Stimmt, sagt die Bank, da kriegst du jetzt 12.000 Euro. Das wird aber nur noch in die Bücher geschrieben. Und das ist das, was die mit Griechenland und den anderen Ländern auch gemacht haben. Auch mit uns Deutschen. Wir Deutschen haben noch nie einen einzigen Cent an Schulden zurückgezahlt. Wäre ja auch eine Katastrophe. Ja, runzeln Sie nicht die Stirn. Wenn wir die Schulden zurückzahlen, dann bricht das ganze Finanzsystem zusammen. Sie wollen doch Zinsen haben. Wenn keiner mehr Schulden macht, wo sollen denn Zinsen herkommen? Jetzt ist da gerade das ganz große Drama. Keine Zinsen mehr. Der Zinsklau. Steht in der Zeitung, der Zinsklau. Wer klaut denn da was? Sie zahlen Geld in eine Lebensversicherung ein und wollen darauf 4% Rendite haben. Was glauben Sie denn, was die Lebensversicherung mit dem Geld macht? Sperrt ihr das ins Schließfach, da rammelt das und kriegt Junge?
Okay. I'm very confused. I will say that.
I'm just I was like, he's telling a very long story.
Yeah.
I'm just like, there's gonna be a punchline here somewhere. Nope, not catching.
Nope.
Translate. All I can think, you know what I can think of, Steven?
Yep.
That there's a scene from a TV show called Community.
Yep.
Where they have this very funny German guy. It's like, I was just remembering a very funny a scene from a German episode of The Nanny. It's like Fräulein said, sorry, it wouldn't translate.
It wouldn't translate.
That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, sometimes it sounds like a stand-up comedy special. So yeah, thank you for sending that.
Yep.
Well,
yep.
Right,
hopefully one day we will understand it.
One day.
One day.
So let's do our first entry into the stories this week. Let's do our rant of the week, man.
Yes, indeed. Let's do the rant of the week.
Red alert.
All right. So the rants of this week. Elon Musk.
Apparently someone at your house is already getting really ranty.
Yeah. Well, they decided to move their shenanigans upstairs.
Oh my
So-
goodness. Well,
That's what happens when
you'll
you don't
just
have an
speak-
office.
you'll have to speak louder.
Well, they'll be in bed very soon. So,
Okay.
Elon Musk Twitter was completely controlled by the far left. So, appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast Tuesday, ex-owner Elon Musk laid out how Twitter was acting as an arm of the government before he took over and completely controlled by the far left. The degree at which Twitter was simply an arm of the government was not well understood by the public, and it was whatever everything was like Pravda, basically a state publication. Is the way to think of old Twitter, a state publication. It was basically the impression of any views, even that I would say would be considered middle of the road. Certainly
Well,
anything
let's
on the
see.
road. And what?
Do they have like that? They have like the video on Twitter?
They have a little bit of
Yeah,
that.
right there.
What was that like? Because that, to me, that was the most bizarre, was the Twitter files. When you let Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi and all those guys get in the Twitter, and the response where Matt Taibbi gets audited. I mean, which is just wild. I mean, it's just so blatant and so in your face.
Yeah, it's weird. No, I mean, the degree to which, and by the way, Jack didn't really know this, but the degree to which Twitter was simply an arm of the government was not well understood by the public, and it was whatever the official government. I mean, it was like Pravda, basically. A state publication is the way to think of old Twitter. It was a state publication.
And was the justification from their perspective that they are progressive liberals, they have the right intentions, it's important that they stay in power, the progressive liberals stay in government and power because this is their...
There was basically oppression of any views that would even, I would say, be considered middle of the road. But certainly anything on the right. I'm not talking about like far right. I'm just talking mildly right. The people like Republicans were suppressed at 10 times the rate of Democrats.
Yeah.
Now that's because old Twitter was fundamentally controlled by the far left. It was like completely controlled by the far left.
Dang, man. So right there, like this is like I definitely want to go take some time to watch this, because like it is it's kind of like he finally kind of tells the full story of like why he took over Twitter, just like goal, what was he trying to accomplish, and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty fascinating. Here, can you play the part of the second?
The Charlie
clip?
Kirk video?
Not there. Musk points out the Soros key scale.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one.
I mean, Soros actually, he is, I believe, the top contributor to the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was Sam Bankman-Fried,
who's now in jail.
And Soros, I don't know.
Right
I
to
mean,
jail.
he had a very difficult upbringing, in my opinion, he fundamentally hates humanity. That's my opinion.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, well, he's doing things that erode the fabric of civilization. Getting DAs elected who refuse to prosecute crime. That's part of the problem in San Francisco and LA and much other cities. So why would you do that?
Was it humanity or is it just the United States as a whole? I mean,
He's
doing
pushing
this
things in other
places?
countries too,
He's
not
doing
just
the
here.
same thing.
Yeah. Now, George at this point is pretty old. I mean, he's not, he's basically a bit senile at this point. But I mean, he's very smart. And he's very good at arbitrage. Famously, he shorted the British pound. That's sort of how I think he made his first money, was shorting the pound. So he's good at spotting, basically arbitrage, like spotting value for money that other people don't see. So one of the things he noticed was that that the value for money in local races is much higher than it is in national races. So the lowest value for money is a presidential race. Then next lowest value for money is a Senate race, then a Congress, and but once you get to sort of city and state district attorneys, the value for money is extremely good. And
You stop there. Yeah. So what do you think about what he's saying here, Stephen? And by the way, while you're doing that, also I put a link in the Twitch. There's one more clip that I wanted to touch on after, but yeah, tell us what you think about what he said about Soros.
Well, it is effectively true that Soros is the largest donor to the Democratic Party, and the guy has wanted to kind of have his power and have his influence over pretty much all levels of government. Like, where people aren't lying and like governors and statesmen and politicians are not kind of fibbing when they say that a lot of people in the United States, especially district attorneys and mayors and judges, these are Soros influenced politicians.
Yeah.
Because he's bought them off. Because it's not hard. It's a lot easier to pay off small areas, and that's where you're going to have the biggest change. Is if you pay off small areas, then you're going to change things one by one, and you'll have kind of pockets of locales that will have the influence and the power that you have sought to exert. And it's very, very difficult to exert control over someone like the president, because usually the president has a lot of money that they've made themselves or from other donors. You're not going to have a massive donation make a huge difference in a presidential campaign. You're not going to have them be kind of beholden to your donation because they have millions of other donors. Whereas if you have a governor's election, or if you have a district attorney or attorney general in a state, then those people are going to be far easier to either blackmail, as Patriot Concierge says, or to kind of exert your control and dominate, because it's like, well, you don't really have a campaign without my money.
Yeah, I think that one of the big things that people so one of the less talked about and less kind of like flashy and sexy kind of talking points about what's going on in the American political system is the money. Money is a major, like, like even like George Soros. I never actually heard him speak. I don't know if he's like got any kind of public abilities or not, but he is probably one of the most influential in American politics. He's not even American. He doesn't even live in America. But he uses a lot of money. He would fit the definition of a Bond villain, like the person with like enormous amounts of capital, enormous amounts of power, who basically uses it to completely and totally, like, like it's almost like alter the world and landscape, and like he's a smart guy. He understands his goals, and like Elon Musk basically, like it seems like George Soros's goal is because he hates humanity. Like he probably has the same viewpoint, likely, as like the Georgia, what are they called, the Georgia Guidestones, or the the monuments, famous monuments, and they like, he believes, like a lot of, like, that we need to depopulate humanity. The reason is because it's too difficult to control such a large number of people, and they believe that if they can get the population down to a manageable amount, then they can consolidate their power and probably increase their power, like include their riches or control and all that kind of stuff. And there's not enough people to push back to be able to thank you, Georgia Guidestones. Not enough people to push back to kind of get them, like to challenge their power in any significant way. So George Soros, like the fact that Elon Musk is so, he knows this. Like this is the kind of understanding that people like Charlie Kirk, Tim Pool, Jack Posobiec, like Matt Gaetz, they would have this level of understanding. Most regular people don't. They don't understand what's really going on in America and where the corruption comes from. But he is, and this is why it's encouraging, knowing that he has essentially may have saved humanity because of what he did with Twitter. Now, can you play that video, that clip that I just sent you, Stephen?
Yep.
Twitter clip? Yeah, play this one. I think this is the most important one because it kind of lays out what he really believes was the danger of Twitter, like why he basically felt needed to purchase Twitter. Nothing. This was like this is probably the best part of the entire interview, probably.
And it's not just propagating the mind virus, but suppressing any opposing viewpoints.
Yes. Well, in order for the virus to propagate, it must suppress opposing viewpoints. So,
because it doesn't stand up to scrutiny.
correct.
Yeah.
I mean, you've felt the virus. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. People will try to cancel you so many times.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't think you're melodramatic at all. I think it's a. I mean, I don't want to be melodramatic, but it's almost like a death cult.
It's a death cult. No, that is exactly right. It's essentially the extinctionists. Like, it's in the limit. It is that they're propagating the extinction of humanity and civilization. And there's some people who are like most of the time it's implicit. They don't but sometimes it's explicit. Like, there was a guy on the front page of the New York Times who literally has the thing called the extinctionist movement, and he was quoted on the front page of the New York Times as saying, "There are 8 billion people in the world, but it would be better if there were none." And I'm like, well, buddy, you can start with yourself.
Dang.
Yeah.
Um,
Does he have friends?
He's gonna pull
That's
it up
always
here.
fascinating.
He's gonna pull it up.
Here
Okay.
he is.
There
That
it is.
guy. He looks like he's not long for this earth.
I mean, it's not
Voluntary
young.
human extinction movement. That's hilarious. I'd like to party with that dude. I would just
Okay.
like to,
That's an explicit version of the death cult.
yeah, maybe live
extinctionist
long
cult.
and die out.
It's not. The extinction is a word he uses.
Yes.
No, I mean, it's not. It's literally a self-description.
Do they cover
that
him
death cult
glowingly?
was in charge of social media.
Yeah.
And still largely is at Google and Facebook, by the way.
Yeah.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah, like,
What are your thoughts, man? Thoughts?
well, this is like seeing as how before, like, now we have a Twitter profile, we have an account on Twitter on X, and give or take around 4,000 followers. And my previous accounts that I had on Twitter, that were just my personal accounts,
Yep.
these ones had like maybe 500, 600. And these ones, I didn't do anything wrong, but I would have, whenever I said something that kind of the woke cults didn't like, then it would get reported, it would get flagged,
Yeah.
and then I would have basically just like random periods of time where I'd get shut out of my accounts, and then eventually it was like, oh, you're suspended. And I'm like, why?
Yep.
And it's like, well, your account was flagged too many times. And I'm like, so all you need to do is have somebody that's
Flag
basically
somebody.
just like, oh, everybody flag this account.
Yeah.
And then as long as you don't have any legal recourse, then your account is done. And so
Yeah.
you can shut down hundreds of thousands of small conservative accounts without any repercussions whatsoever because they don't have the legal force to oppose you.
Yeah, Twitter for the longest time was basically the gaslight central of
Yeah.
social media, because like they would shadow ban people, and then that's already been proven. They shadow ban people, they suppress content, they definitely like punish people for all sorts of things. It's essentially like the thing that he didn't say in this clip, but one of the things he said, like why did he believe he needed to take over Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
And Elon Musk basically said it's like he saw California. And normally in world history, when you have a mind virus, like this is what the origin the mind virus, when you have an ideology that is basically toxic, like we call it a cult, but like cult-like thinking, San Francisco is what you get. Now, normally in human history, if you have like an entire society or an entire like city that has succumbed to this kind of like destructive thinking, like the city would just destroy itself, and so it would kind of like it essentially would destroy itself, but it wouldn't really have any impact outside of itself. What he said is that the difference here is that San Francisco, but they also were able to create one of the most powerful social media platforms out there, and they were propagating the very things that were destroying San Francisco. They're now propagating everywhere, all over the world. And in order to survive, this mind virus needs to suppress any opposing viewpoints because it can't stand up to scrutiny, like they said. And so Elon Musk didn't stop it because they're just being big meanie heads. Or he didn't even say that it was about free speech. He said he stopped it because he saw the danger. He saw what they're doing, and that this this entire enterprise that they were taking on was going to destroy society. So he saw it as an existential threat, not as just like big meanie heads who were like suppressing speech or people with like, you know, who are like just like being bullies. He saw the danger, and I was like, I really like that. Like he saw what many of us like, you know, kind of like thought was there, but like, you know, like thankfully like he was actually able to come in and take over, because like people have said like a lot of rich billionaires are donating to leftist causes, but apparently there's a lot of like conservative or right-leaning billionaires as well who are just not getting involved. I didn't know that, but apparently that's actually a thing. So if we got more like right-wing billionaires doing stuff like this, I think we're a lot better off and a lot farther forward than we are right now.
Yep.
So get on Elon Musk. We're happy for him. We wish him well. We hope that Twitter could, superhero. I was going to say supervillain for some reason. I had like, what's his name?
Elon?
No, I was thinking of the scene from Megamind. It's like, you know, oh, you're a villain, all right, just not a super one. Yeah, that's right. No, but he's a hero. I'm really happy for him.
Presentation.
That's right. That scene is so good. But speaking of presentation, let's go into our next segment, the Nothing to See Here.
Nothing to see here.
Speaking of the devil.
All right, so to start off is a story from CBN. UK police arrest a man for criticizing Palestinian flags in social media post. Metro Police officer was captured in a viral video on Tuesday arresting a man for a social media post criticizing the Palestinian flags flying in his neighborhood. Police department has confirmed the video is real. The unnamed man has originally posted a 1-minute-long video clip of him denouncing a number of Palestinian flags flying along a UK street. In a post on X, the Metro Police wrote Wednesday morning, the video shows arrest of a man on suspicion of racially aggravated Section 5 public order offense. He was taken into an East London police station where he remains at this time. We take all allegations of hate crime incredibly seriously. While offenses have taken place, our officers are attending, supporting victims of being arrested, and we will continue to do so. According to the Crown Prosecution Service, under the Crime and Disorder Act of 1998, an offense under Section 5 of that act, harassment, alarm, or distress, which is racially aggravated for the purpose of this section, a constable may arrest without warrants anyone who reasonably suspects to be committing an offense.
Mm-hmm. By the way, anybody who believes that the UK police force is a joke, this is the stuff that makes like they're in global embarrassment. For one major reason. One is because they don't prosecute. Oh, I don't know what you're showing.
No, this is the video of him criticizing the flags. This is what he got arrested for.
Kind of shit that's going on. Yeah. So there's a look at this. Yeah, you see it? And then over here at this one, we've got this crap going on as well.
So it's flags that are posted on public
and they've done the same crap
on public property.
Look at this.
Yep.
Look. See this? This is what we're dealing with. This is no fucking on. And then up in this one here, you see that? Yeah. Same shit here as well. Wow. This is what we're dealing with. And these cunts over here on the shop, look at this shop, this one. On the shop. Ghana. Turkish restaurant. Yeah. Look at this. Look. This is the kind of crap that we're dealing with. This is the kind of nonsense. Yeah. Yeah. This is the kind of nonsense we're dealing with in Bethnal Green. You let them into the country, and this is the shite they come up with. This morning.
Yeah, so that's what got him arrested.
Crazy.
Which, like,
nothing in there. He's criticizing the fact that like
that the flags are on public property and that people are supporting something that he disagrees with. Which, like, if you have like, and you and I will both say this. That's an interesting comment. So back, I'll address that in just a second. If you have a public opinion, then Danny and I are of one mind on this, that people have a right to their opinion, even if it's offensive, even if it's like something we disagree with, as long as you are not advocating for violence against other people, as long as you're not threatening, as long as you're not trying to dox people, like these are fairly obvious crimes.
Yeah,
but
we're free speech absolutists.
Yes.
We believe there are some limitations on free speech, but those limitations are not content based.
Yeah. And usually the speech that people do in a public square is we very, very rarely advocate for speech to be limited in the public square. Now, speech that is towards children is another matter, but yes.
One of my favorite statements is, like, I disagree with what you have to say, but I will fight to the death for your right to say it.
Mm-hmm. We might be Canadian, but we have very Americanized values in that regard.
Absolutely.
Now, in response to Zoivax, we don't have any problems with flags. We don't even show the German flag anywhere in the country. That I find is, like, you don't show it at any like state houses or parliament buildings. Like, it's quite rare to have somebody here in Canada display a Canadian flag outside of government buildings, but not to show the German flag or the Canadian flag anywhere in the country. Like, people will show it at like public events all the time.
You should check that, like, to see if that's what he actually meant. Okay, so here's a pattern I want you to see if you recognize. The pattern is in Western countries, it is slow.
That's actually okay. So reading his quote: the whole German spirit nowadays is about leaning against racism. We learned that in school 9 long years. We learned in media everywhere is like, don't show nationalism because it leads to fascism. That's why we're not patriotic at all. And like I understand why Germany wants to lead away from, like, wants to kind of push away from the roots of course, now 80 years ago. But like, you have to have some form of national identity. If you do not have a national identity, then you sort of like ebb and flow with the waves of the majority. Is the kind of the best way to put it that I could see.
No. I think here's how I would put it, because we've talked about this before. So, by the way, Zoivac, if you haven't heard of the guy, I'm going to recommend go watch any content by a man named James Lindsay, the New Discourses podcast, or like a lot of what I'm going to tell you comes from there. Like, I know I refer to him, but he's probably one of the best authorities on this. He understands this movement very well. So basically, what they're doing, and just in case you haven't seen this, what they're doing is they're trying to basically say, oh, we can't show the Canadian flag, or in your case, the German flag, because it reeks of nationalism, and nationalism is bad because the only people that we know were nationalists were, like, the Nazis, the National Socialists. Here's the trap, though, and here's how they're doing this. They want to basically demoralize society. They want to demoralize the West. The way that they do it is they basically convince you that your country is horribly racist, and that any kind of defense of the flag of your country is racist because you can't. Your country's indefensible. Your country is a lost cause. Your country is morally bankrupt. And anyone who disagrees that your country is horribly, terribly evil is basically the bad guy. That's basically the talking points that they're given, that a lot of these young people are given. And so they basically tell you, don't trust your country. The country's bad, 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 because the end goal is they want to completely and totally tear down the entire system. It's a controlled demolition of Western nations in order to. If you're Islamic, you want to destroy the Western system so that you can install some kind of a Sharia law in the country. If you're like a progressive, like a destructive progressive, then your goal is to basically completely and totally demoralize the entire country. Oh, the country's horrible. Everything that we've done, everything that we are is completely and totally defensible. Hence, we have to burn it all to the ground. And hopefully we can install a benevolent socialist authoritarian state to basically undo the deeds of the past. It's a trap, okay? It's a complete and total trap. And the thing is, they're basically trying to appeal to people's vanity and to people's basically try to make them feel like they're virtuous for thinking like, oh, you're right. I don't want to be. I don't want to defend the racist country. It's like, well, no. The doing is they're basically trying to demolish your country from the inside. It's a Trojan horse strategy. That's what it is. They bring in like this supposedly benevolent talking point, like, your country's really, 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 really evil, and we have to we have to destroy it because it's so evil. And everyone who's part of the country, well, you're all guilty by association. That's basically the talking point. This is why we reject anyone who basically says, like, Canada is inherently racist. Everything they did is racist. No. If you're an intelligent person and you're an honest person, you can actually parse out where, yes, there are things that Canada did that are bad, but then there are also things that Canada did good. And just because Canada did, it's like Canada had slavery at some point. Yes, so did every other country on planet Earth. I don't think there's a single country out there, nation that exists today, that did not have slavery at some point in its history. So it's a completely garbage point, right? So the pulling of this all together, the idea that, why is it bad that they're flying Palestinian flags everywhere? Two reasons. Number one, because it's pointing out the incredible absurdity that if you're in the UK, that is considered racist for you to fly a British flag, but no, it's totally okay to fly a Palestinian flag, which is odd. Second, because the Palestinian flag is so closely associated with Hamas that it's like a distinction without a
meaning.
Difference. Yes.
Yep.
That's the problem. Steven, you can jump in there.
No, I'm with you there. Like the flying the Palestinian flag, it's so rare. Like you'll kind of view the videos and you'll see the observations from these protests that are going on around the world, and you won't see them condemning the actions of Hamas. You won't.
Or they may, but like a few people may. But then they always use that wonderful word, but.
But yeah,
Israel is worse.
Yes.
Or something like that.
So this is something that, like, you'll be very hard pressed to find someone who's willing to condemn Hamas, and more than likely you'll find a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, no, nothing Hamas does is wrong. Everything that they're doing is justified. Israel is kind of the great evil in the world. And so everything that Hamas is doing is 100% okie dokie. And so this is what this guy is opposing. And the state police going to his house and arresting him for these kind of supposed hate crimes, simply for disagreeing with this movement, is like, in Canada, it's a scary prospect. In the United States, it's thankfully something that isn't going to be a massive concern as of yet. Now, of course, it is worth mentioning that the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, said that they will be kind of forming an anti-Islamophobia task force. I'm a socialist and I'm not okay. Sleep all day and purchasing the night away.
I eat the bugs and I sleep in the pods.
I own nothing and happy.
Oh, he's a socialist and he's not okay.
We could go on for a while.
For anybody who wonders, that's a
very Canadian song.
Very Canadian song about a lumberjack who basically, like, the song gets more
is kind of a hi-ho worker.
Very good job. Very good song. Good reference, by the way.
Very good reference. Very good reference.
Yeah, but yeah, like, take it into the next that Twitter video, like, to kind of, like, add a little bit into this. Add
a little bit of nuance.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, this is not only happening to those who are against Palestine. So this is the IDF and some police officers in Israel. Who are really kind of roughing up some guys.
Kind of roughing would be an understatement.
Yeah.
Dang, man. Yeah, by the way, like, if anybody wonders, I encourage you to do a little bit of digging into like the before. So one piece of nuance that that's been very forgotten in this conflict is what was going on in Israel before the Hamas attack. Stephen, do you remember like a little bit about what before the Hamas attack?
Before the Hamas attack? Oh, like
Yep.
some of the stuff that was going on in terms of like restriction of free speech and stuff like that in Israel?
Basically, like, for those who don't know, Israel was basically, a lot of people were talking, even Ben Shapiro before, like in the summer, he said that Israel is literally on the brink of civil war.
Yeah, they are.
Before that, because and I won't get into all the details. Basically, there's been a massive rise in the population of the Orthodox Jewish community, and they're basically upsetting the power balance. Knesset, which is the Jewish parliament. And by the way, the Jewish parliament is different than most other countries in that, unlike like here in Canada or even the States, you have here in Canada we have parties, but we have like a majority party, in Israel, you basically govern by making massive amounts of coalitions, like between like seven, 8, 9 different groups of political parties. So there was a massive problem there. Also, there's a problem with the Supreme Court. Supreme Court leans more left, and the government was leaning more right. And there was a massive clash of power. So there was a lot of conflict within Israel between the very ultra-conservative Orthodox community and a lot of the liberal Jewish community. Which, by the way, like I've heard people say that Tel Aviv is one of the gayest cities in the world. I've heard that like been said. So there's a lot of like conflict between Jews and other Jews in Israel. This doesn't surprise me, but again, the idea is another country that does not believe in and doesn't support the idea of free speech. That is Israel. Israel does not believe in and so this is where you get conflicts like this. You have people who are protesting in the street and are protesting peacefully, but like they don't believe in like they're like, no, this is not okay. We don't like this. What you're saying is like making us mad, and so we're going to violently like suppress you. Like we can't understand what you're saying, but that's basically what it amounts to is like two groups clashing over what is being done and said, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's
now of course like we actually have an interesting from Generalismos, very interesting point of view. He's the guy from Tel Aviv who joined the show last week. So, Generalismos, I don't know if you were actually here for the video which we just watched of kind of Israeli police and IDF forces kind of roughing up some guys on the ground for allegedly being pro-Palestine. I'd love to kind of get your perspective on that. Now, I know, like you have been saying, that the position on the ground in Israel is that the Israeli population... Show me the video. Oh, of course, we'll go right back to it. I'd also like to know what they say, because I don't speak the language.
I mean, you can't translate, yeah, but yeah. The guy literally like grabs them and tosses them.
So this is, of course, like, it could be out of context. We don't know.
Yeah.
Like, immediate from what we see, this is kind of an overt exertion of force. Okay.
Yeah, so like here, like there's a couple just kind of back. Like this is from this is an article from NPR from March 27th. Here's why Netanyahu's court overhaul now brought Israel to the brink. So like yeah, there's another one from the New Yorker, Israel on the brink. Like what's his name? Ben Shapiro talked about it too. Other outlets. We were talking about this actually earlier. And I were talking about this, that Israel's a country that's heavily divided, and there's a lot of like conflict between the forces that support the Supreme Court and the forces that support the Knesset, the Jewish government. And so, like what I'm trying to point out is that there's conflict in the country between the ultra conservative Jewish groups and communities and a lot of the hyper liberal ones. Now maybe in Tel Aviv it's not like as pronounced because Tel Aviv is one of the, it's like the capital city. I think it's the capital city of Israel. Is that correct, Stephen?
Isn't it Jerusalem? No, it's Tel Aviv. It's Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
They screamed at the officers, terrorists. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is that, like, seeing this, I'm not shocked by seeing this. You think like, oh my gosh, what is this? Well, yeah, but I'm not shocked by this because like first of all, Israel doesn't follow the same Western values like that that they do in the United States. But also, there's a lot more cultural clashing between like the conservative factions and the liberal factions.
True. Like there is a point to what journalism is saying that like emotions are heightened. Like this is not kind of a normal time. And if we were to see this kind of treatment, like even like the governments of Israel, like there was video that came out about kind of Orthodox Jews spitting on Christians, and they received universal condemnation.
I remember that, yeah.
And so like, and that was a time that was more peaceful. So, and I think that would be more the treatment that they would get during a time of peace would be like just kind of general mockery and scorn. So. Yes, thank you, journalistas. We know some things about Israel.
Yeah, it's difficult because, like we most of our focus of our research and our study is like North American politics, but we are aware of like geopolitical issues, like the issue in between China and Taiwan, the issue about Russia, the issues about Israel and Gaza and the but those are the ones that we don't know as much. What does he say?
So he says before the war, if you threw a stone at the IDF or the army, you wouldn't get shot. But now, if you throw a rock at the army, you get shot.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you threw a rock at kind of Canadian military, they'd probably arrest you. If you threw a rock at American military, they'd probably shoot you.
Depends on
depends on the situation.
If you're picking up a full-on stone and throwing it at them, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But if you're just kind of like I don't know, like picking up a handful of pebbles or whatever, yeah, a little different, I think. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of just like it's something to take with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. Now, so in the UK, they're being people are being arrested for saying the wrong things, like politically correct things. In Israel, people are being manhandled for saying unpopular views. In China, this is how they're dealing
with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. They just deleted Israel from online maps. So Israel no longer appears on major online digital maps from Baidu and Alibaba, according to the Wall Street Journal. So, Wall Street Journal reported on Tuesday the internet users in China are expressing bewilderment that Israel's name no longer appears in major online digital maps from Baidu and Alibaba. Baidu's Chinese language online maps demarcate the internationally recognized borders of Israel as well as Palestinian territories plus key cities, but they don't clearly identify the country by name. Report states that Israel's name has also disappeared from online maps produced by Alibaba's AMAP, and even small nations like Luxembourg remarked neither company responded to questions. The news comes just days after an early report by the New York Times over a surge of anti-Semitic expressions on Chinese social media following the war with Hamas. And of course, China has openly, as has Russia, openly expressed their support for Hamas. So, this is... yeah. So interesting. So Patriot Concierge, maybe I'm really wrong. Like, this is his comment. Maybe I'm really wrong here, but don't they all have to serve in the military? They do. I believe you have to get special exemption. All that they would turn on each other. Who turned against each other? Yeah, like this is. It's essentially. I'm trying to think of a movement. It'd be like the anarchists almost. I think that would be almost equatable.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to kind of find a group that's like comparable in North American politics. Like maybe it would be comparable to like those who want to overthrow the Canadian government and have it replaced by like giving all the land back to the indigenous Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be more equatable to something we have here. And those people, from what we know, like during these days, like if somebody was to have a protest, be like, we need to have this back, and like we're oppressing the land, and like they'd get laughed at in the street. Be like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And during the days like back in 2021, when there was mass burning of churches, and like, yes, nobody was killed. If people were actually killed in this, and you were having be like, oh, there was massive amounts of indigenous people going out and like slaughtering farmers, and then they'd be like, we need like this is only an expression of like they're justified. Like, yeah, like there would definitely be some punches thrown.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be more of a connection. So, yeah, and in Zoivac, it's very similar here in Canada. We have quite a few political parties to choose from. We don't have 25. Well, we have 25, but we have about 5 major ones.
Yeah, the question isn't like necessarily how many parties exist. The question is how many parties are legitimately like the parties that are probably going to get any chance of. I think 6 would be the number here in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's like the Rhino Party, the Communist Party, the Marijuana Party here.
Yeah.
I'm like, no one's ever gonna like. None of those parties are ever gonna get in. But
or yeah, the Libertarian Party.
Yes. The question is how many of those parties, like those 25 parties in Germany,
have a chance of winning,
or have gotten seats?
Oh yeah,
that would be the real question. Because like you may have a lot of parties running, but how many are represented in the German parliament? I'm not sure if there's actually...
So 3 in the government, and... Oh, so like there's a coalition.
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the same way as the Netherlands. They have a coalition. Pretty much always to form a government.
President and a prime minister?
I believe so. These are nations which I'm like, I know a little bit, but I don't know that much.
Yeah, like we don't know a ton of like the system. I know that Canada has a parliamentary system like the UK, which is basically like the parliament does everything. I'm pretty sure France has a president and a prime minister, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But yeah. So basically, so basically, like the big thing here is like okay, so like these stories we have like people like free speech basically being like a joke in the UK. Anybody who believes that the UK has free speech, I just laugh at you. Oh, you poor adorable soul. In the story from Israel, saying certain things, especially in tough times, that's a real test of how much free speech you have. And in China, you have zero speech. It's like no, but it's like the Simpsons, scene from the Simpsons movie. Where like you can't just like delete an entire city from existence. People will know. It's like, oh, don't worry, we've taken care of that. And somebody's driving in the car. It's like on your left, coming up on your left, nothing. It's like, what? That's basically what China did with Israel. They just deleted it entirely.
Yeah, nothing is here.
Here's a question for the chat. I'm curious if you guys believe this. Is there another country on Earth other than the United States that you believe legitimately has free speech? That's the question. Do you believe that there's outside of the United States, is there any other country that has free speech?
Or is you guys are so popular known around the world?
Apparently everyone knows about us.
Are you saying so, generalismos? Are you saying there's no such thing as free speech, or is there no such thing as a nation that truly believes in free speech? Okay, so Zoivac, like Canada and Germany have very similar kind of speech laws. So there is no absolute free speech and can't be. Okay. So are you saying that because like there has to be laws against threats and incitement that there can't be any absolute free speech? Because like that's a valid argument that there can't be any absolute free speech because of things like threats but we're talking like outside of calls to violence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's incitement.
That's incitement, yeah.
Like calls, like we this is kind of the line that we draw. If you're not threatening, if you're not inciting, if you're not doxing, or if you're not having a call to action. Well, besides violence, there are many countries. Okay,
well,
so like there's only one country really that doesn't have hate speech laws.
Yeah, and that's
like
the United States.
Germany has hate speech laws, and Canada has hate speech laws.
The UK definitely has hate speech laws.
The UK definitely has hate speech laws. Germany has hate speech laws. Like,
yes.
Zoevac, what you're saying, like denying the Holocaust. I am of course in agreement that denying the Holocaust is a horrid thing. Truly abhorrent. Like, if somebody denies the Holocaust, mostly I'll just laugh at them for how completely insane they are. But I'm not going to deny them that their right to say, you're going to say something like Kiribati. We're not going to focus on small things like that.
Yeah.
No.
Here's basically the basic view of it. Okay. What is more dangerous, suppressing free speech, or a government that has too much power to control its citizens? And most people believe that the more dangerous thing is free speech and not a government. And that's why the United States has such a, and that's why I believe that free speech is the only thing that protects you from the government and the government having way too much power and suppressing power. When you're living in a benevolent country where the government is like acting benevolently, then sure, it doesn't seem like free speech is such a big deal. It's only a big deal when the government is actively trying to suppress its citizens. By the way, so Zoeback, you come from Germany. One of the first things that the German government did in the early 1930s was to basically censor free speech. Why? Because they were hell-bent on controlling the populace. And one of the best ways to control the populace and to control the flow of information is you have to eliminate any voices of dissent, any voices that might either try to criticize the government, try to encourage other people to say no to the overreaches, or try to or point out something that the government is doing, and thus basically make it so that they can't get away with their stuff and all that. Any authoritarian system, whether it's like the Soviet Union, China with their CCP, whether it's Venezuela, whether it's North Korea, any authoritarian system has to have control of speech. And the best way to control speech is through censorship, and hate speech is the vehicle that they created with the ultimate aim of basically eliminating speech. Okay? And by the way, the definition of hate speech is the big problem. Because how do you define it? Like you'll notice, ask anybody, nobody can define what is hate speech. Hate speech is entirely arbitrary and is completely subjective. Okay? I may talk to a trans activist. I may ask him, what do you think hate speech is? They may say, you know what hate speech is? Anybody who doesn't use my pronouns. And then I can talk to a conservative, and I can ask them, what do you think hate speech is? I think hate speech is whenever the trans activist comes up to me and yells in my face and calls me a bigot and calls me evil and calls me a lunatic or I want to kill them or something like that. I think that's hate speech. Well, how do we decide which is right? It's really simple. Whoever has the power gets to decide what hate speech is. Yep. This is why it's so dangerous.
And hate speech, usually kind of our colloquial definition of hate speech, is usually just termed as
speech I hate.
Hey, generally Simo.
Nah, Trump's gonna win.
I just laughed so hard at that. It's so dumb.
All right. Well, anyways, go on, Mister. Living in not the real world.
Don't get excited. Oh, it's self-interest for me too. All right,
Mhm.
let's go to the news you may have missed to talk about
Someone's
the
a
news.
little mad that is like short little man can win.
Short
That's what
little
he's
man.
upset about.
Oh,
That's DeSantis.
well, yeah, he's
You
shorter.
heard, you heard that. You heard the whole like scandal, right?
Scandal. See, this is the
Scandal.
DeSantis scandal. He wears tiny little lifts. The
Yeah.
Trump scandal. He's pro-choice. He's pro-trans. He's anti-free speech. He's
Uh-huh.
pro-war. You know,
Uh-huh.
like, he's a Democrat.
That's a scandal. Like none of those are
Boom.
even true.
They're totally true.
He's not okay. We can talk about all those things, but no, those are garbage.
It's
the other thing is
terrible that
pro-war
they have
and
6-week abortion bans.
He basically never no new wars under.
Well, not for lack of trying.
Not because of lack of trying, because he's so effective at preventing
So
war,
effective.
man. Come on. Yeah.
That's because
And
everybody
Trump-
thinks he's crazy.
Well, that's actually one of the best deterrents for people like invading other countries. Actually, even Putin admitted that one of the reasons why he invaded as soon as Biden got into power is because Trump was no longer president.
Mm-hmm. And Biden was very weak.
Exactly. So, the idea that Trump is a pro war hawk, most of the neocons in the Republican Party is it's just nonsense, man.
He's not as much, but he's definitely more than you're saying.
No, he is. He basically he's the one that popularized the peace treaties in the Middle East. He's the one that actually could have potentially created a peace deal with North Korea if John Bolton, that idiot, didn't blow it up with a lot of his dumb statements.
Oh, John Bolton, the guy that Trump put there and said it was amazing.
Yes,
Trump
and
picks terrible people.
So does Ron DeSantis, and that is not a secret. Ron DeSantis is not even president. He's trying to claim that he's going to be a better president, but he can't even pick good people before he becomes president, so to speak. So he has a worse track record for the people that he's picking. No, seriously, absolutely. He's got a much worse track record.
His government.
Well, Trump did not get criticized for having bad people before he ran, did he?
No, not before he ran.
Ron DeSantis is right now.
So Ron DeSantis is worse at picking campaign people.
Yes,
but better at picking people that's actually in his government. Way better.
He has not picked that. This is the first time he's gotten a chance to pick.
Well, no,
people.
but he's the governor. He has the he's picked the attorney general. He's picked all the people in response. Florida is objectively the best state in the union. That is beyond the pale.
Absolutely, and America was absolutely doing amazing
until 2020.
Well, that's because, and there's a lot of reasons for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's not as simple as you might want to put it. So
it's more simple than you think.
In case anybody's wondering, Steven apparently is a diehard DeSantis fan.
Oh, I'm at the point. I'm at the point almost.
Slowly turning into a never Trumper.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'll say it's because if Trump is the nominee, at this point, my guess is that it's going to be a landslide.
For who?
For the Democrats, it's going to be all three houses.
Well, apparently only you believe that, because not even the Democrats believe that.
Well, the Democrats are trying to stop Trump because they think that because Biden is so terrible.
Exactly. Do you know why Chen Kuyger is running for president right now?
Because Biden is terrible.
Because he believes that Biden can never win against Trump.
Yes.
So right now, if the statement that Trump can never
win. It's just that Cenk wants someone better than Biden.
Exactly.
And that he has a chance of beating Trump.
So
because Trump has the same opinion as me
right now,
in that regard.
As things stand, if nothing changes, Trump is likely going to win.
He's going to probably win the primary. And then they will prevent him from running.
Well, I mean that's not a defense of Trump can't win.
It's the biggest defense of Trump can't win.
They're going to cheat,
but that's exactly what the Democrats want, man. You're playing right into their hands.
You're just handing them all talking points.
No, this is not something.
Talking points.
Yes, it is, but he's right.
Yes. No, I don't think he's right.
He's totally right. Tim Pool is just a shill.
No, so is Ben Shapiro, man.
But Ben Shapiro actually he's a principled.
Well,
Tim Pool is just well, no, Tim Pool is just Trump has charisma, and that's the only thing that matters. That is literally the only thing that matters to Tim Pool, is that Trump has charisma.
Well, he's actually seen like and I've watched like what's his name, Ron DeSantis, and his speeches and a lot of his things, and I'm like, he's right. The guy literally lacks like like charisma and There's a reason why JFK, the original JFK, won against Richard Nixon in a televised debate.
Yes,
It's because charisma and being like having that swagger, having that presence matters in political. Like it's like you need to be popular to win president.
Yes,
whether you're capable is a whole different story.
Trump's not popular.
Okay? He's incredibly popular.
No,
man.
he has less than 50%. Way
of
less.
Of what?
Of public support.
From who?
There's a reason that he's going to get absolutely shellacked in the general.
No, dude, you're nuts.
No way.
Trump, if they don't remove him from the ballots, like they're threatening to do right now, Trump has absolutely more chance. And we're going to get into a poll later that even shows that, man.
Yeah.
Even with JFK, I know, whatever. Like if you can discount polls all you want it to, right? But like, there's a reason why
we
Ron
literally
DeSantis,
talked about a poll about how RFK would make Trump lose.
Ron DeSantis' campaign is done, man. I'm sorry.
Not.
He is out.
He will win. I'm going to say this right now. Ron DeSantis is going to win Iowa.
He's not going to be the nominee. There's no way he's going to be able to pull that off.
If Trump wins the primary, there is zero chance he will win the general. Zero.
He wins. Trump wins the primary. That's a guarantee.
He will probably win the primary, but he will lose the general in a landslide.
And two of those statements are completely nonsense. The fact that you think it's a landslide is... Do you know how much he won or how much he lost last time?
How much Trump lost?
How many votes did he lose by last time? In the 2020?
4 million.
72,000 votes across 4 states.
No, that's 4 states.
That's how much he lost. That's how much he lost by.
Yes.
He won the popular vote.
And each of those states, he has dropped in support. Dropped significantly.
No, dude, in all of these states, like they're polling that they're showing that Trump is actually ahead of Biden in all of these states. Like every state except Nevada.
Every state except Nevada.
No, seriously. In like a lot of these states, like in the black vote, you're seeing all sorts of problems with Biden supporters and all that kind of stuff. That's fine.
Didn't he say that he's going to win 20% of the black vote, and then it was like half that?
But that's fine. Like, you don't need to win massive amounts of the black vote.
No, I'm saying that like the polls were saying prior to 2020 that he would have 20% of the black vote. He had less than 10. Like
they're predicting that the Democrats might lose up to 20% of the black vote.
No. He said that the polls prior to 2020 that Trump himself said that he would win 20% of the black vote.
He predicted, but right now
that's what
they're
the polls said.
Well, even now they're even saying that. So here's the question.
They're laughable.
What do you think is it's fine if you have a different opinion. That's perfectly fine. You can believe that DeSantis is the best chance going forward against whoever it is. I've seen DeSantis. I've seen the problems with DeSantis. Like I generally do like DeSantis as a governor. I don't think he has the chance to win. He is not charismatic. He's making way too many mistakes. Everyone is admitting. Even Ben Shapiro admitted that he wishes that the DeSantis campaign had done the same strategy that the Vivek Ramaswamy campaign had done. He said Vivek Ramaswamy was running the campaign that Ron DeSantis should have run. Whether or not you believe,
when did he say that?
I remember listening to an episode of the Ben Shapiro show, and he said Vivek Ramaswamy is running the campaign that Ron DeSantis should have run.
To become a podcaster?
No,
because that's what Vivek is going to be.
Vivek has actually done a much better campaign than Ron DeSantis. Like the fact that he came out of complete obscurity, and actually is polling somewhat decently, is a testament for how well
big finance can work.
Doesn't matter. It's like he's effective. You can use big finance. What was the mayor of De Blasio? I think it was. He spent millions of dollars in his campaign, like making all these ads. Didn't do diddly squat for him. No. Doesn't matter how much money you have, you still have to run a decent campaign.
Yes.
And Ron DeSantis, I genuinely was hoping that he would do better, but he is not doing well.
But it has nothing to do with DeSantis. It has everything to do with the indictments.
Absolutely, the indictments have played a massive role, but he was already tanking. He was already tanking even before those.
Did you look at the
indictments came.
polls? Did you look at the
Yeah.
polls? The polls.
Like
the
from
day
way
that
before?
the day that the polls came down, he was down 5 points. 5.
Who was? Like
Ron
DeSantis
DeSantis.
or-
Ron DeSantis was down 5 points under Trump. The day the indictments dropped, he dropped 20 points.
Yes, and I agree that the indictments have had a massive role to play, but his numbers have not moved. Why have they not moved? If Ron
Because
DeSantis is so much better than Donald Trump, why have his numbers not moved? Actually, no, they have moved. They've moved down.
they have
He's now
moved down.
third to Nikki Haley.
No,
Why
he's
is he
not.
moving down? Well, he's in a lot of
He's-
polls. He's third.
Well, that's only
to
in
Nikki
South
Haley.
Carolina.
No, there's other polls that have shown that he's third. Not all of them, but many polls have shown that he's dropped a lot of support among like Republican voters.
He has dropped.
Yes, you have to admit, man.
Oh yeah, I
Ron
admit
DeSantis
that he's
has screwed
dropped,
up.
but it has nothing
He's
to do with
definitely-
DeSantis. It has everything
No,
to
it
do
has
with.
everything to do with DeSantis.
No, it has nothing to do with him.
You're not willing to even like admit that Ron DeSantis has dropped the at any point.
No, he has dropped in the polls.
Dropped the ball. As in, made mistakes that have hurt him politically.
He has made mistakes.
Yes,
Are you talking about like policy wise? Are you talking
he's
about
made
like,
a lot of like PR mistakes. He's made a lot of effect that he has not been able to win over voters.
he's
even
not been
his
able to
own-
win over voters because like his lack of charisma. Yes, he doesn't have charisma.
Yes, he doesn't.
That's his fault. Yes.
Yeah,
He has
absolutely.
gotten better since his announcement.
He's tried.
Well, no, he
But-
has. He has gotten way better.
Yeah.
Like every single answer that he does in debates is 100% on point,
Mhm.
both in policy and in correctness.
Mhm.
And then, like, the problem that I have in so much is that the way that the Republican, like, the difference between how the Democrat Party operates and how the Republican Party operates. The
Okay, how's
Republican
that?
Party has basically become a poo slinging contest. That's what it's become. A poo slinging
Okay.
contest. Led by Grandmaster Poo King.
What, Trump?
Yes, Grandmaster
Oh,
Poo King.
give me a break. Okay,
No,
go
he's
on with your
Grandmaster
little
Poo
theory.
King.
Give me a break.
He
and go
has
on with
he
your
has
little
basically
theory.
nothing except for insults. His policies are that of Democrats.
Okay.
Like he advocated for pro-choice concepts.
No, he did. He did.
Yes,
he
he did.
advocated for like a lighter pro-life concepts. There's
He,
a major
he advocated that he
difference
would team up
between-
with Democrats on abortion.
Yeah, in
And
what
he would not
specifically?
even combine with a 15-week abortion ban.
Because he doesn't believe he can win that.
Anybody can win with a
There's a-
15-week
There's
abortion
a
ban.
strategy. No, there's a strategy that he's trying to follow. Okay.
It's
Just
he has
because-
no conservative principles whatsoever.
No,
he
no. I
flim-flams
disagree.
in the
Like,
wind.
okay, no, absolutely, completely.
He has
You're
no
out
solid
of it.
principles. You have no
No,
idea what
Matt,
he
I'm
supports
sorry.
100%. No
I'm
idea.
sorry, like, no. If you're basing that on his like little, on that, I'm not sure, whatever. Yeah, you have to remember.
He has
like,
every
there's
right to
like-
throw mud. Yes, Patriot. He has every right to throw mud at the system. But to
Yeah.
throw mud at fellow Republicans is only going to make other Republicans refuse to vote for him.
Republicans do that anyway. Like, okay, like the big theory with Trump is that Trump himself.
Exponential.
Okay, here's one of the biggest myths. And I'm sorry, this is one of the biggest myths in American political history over the last 5 years. The biggest myth is that everything was honky-dory until Trump came onto the scene, and he just messed everything up. It was like a smooth-running ship. Trump comes in, and the whole thing just goes like flying to high heaven. But it's not true. The American system was already on insanely problematic. It had major issues. All that Trump did is he upset the system. He
Yep.
upset the people that had consolidated power in the system. He opened people's eyes to what was really going on, and people were finally realizing, like, no, seriously, like the fake news narrative, the idea, like, remember, like it was CNN, all the networks that were saying like the fake news, like, and he turned it around on them and said, no, you're actually the ones perpetuating fake news.
But
He's
that was his
one
only
of the people
response.
That
Like,
was
he
his
has no
best
idea-
response.
Well, his best response, you're fake news. Like,
It's true.
he doesn't
Because it's
know
all
how to
about
respond
soundbites,
to
man.
them. Oh, like,
No, because of
he responds to the
political
dumbest
statements
people.
are- Well,
like, that's
yes,
who he
does.
appeals to.
Yes, he does, but that's why people love him, because he's not willing to back down from a fight. Now, is he perfect? Does he make that everything? No, but that's one of the reasons, personally, I like him. Because unlike most political commentators, they're full of crap. I hate the fact that they can become so good at lying through their teeth that it's infuriating. You see that in so many Republican politicians. You're like, these people are like lying through their teeth. They know they're lying through, but they don't care. Like Pierre Poilievre, like, even though I like Pierre Poilievre here in Canada, he is even less of a conservative than Trump is. Like Pierre Poilievre fully says, like, we're not going to do a thing against abortion. We're not even going to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
We have like the most completely open, abortion laws here. Nope, not even going to touch them here. Not even won't even speak against it here. But Trump actually like advocates for pro-life causes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, don't like I don't.
Hold on, wait. What did you just say?
Trump advocates for pro-life causes.
Not anymore.
He is the first. Okay, like again, this
like
is
literally no. Trump is against pro-life policies because DeSantis is pro-life. That is
what
the
kind
only
of
reason
pro-life policies? What
states
kind of
pro-life bills that doesn't affect
State
federal
policies.
federal politics in any way.
Okay, you're talking about when he criticized Ron DeSantis
when he criticized every single Republican governor that had a 6-week abortion ban, which I believe is 10.
That had a 6-week abortion ban.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
He said they were terrible.
Okay, I'll give you that. But here's a question: can you be pro-life unless you're 100?
You can be pro-life, but there is a level. There, like, if you're saying it's like, oh, like it's terrible that they're trying to save babies at all.
Okay.
And we can't even make it, like we're not going to commit to a point. We're basically just going to compromise. Like, even in national politics, people want, like, you look at polls nationally, you see that there is at least a 65% that approves of at least a limit on abortion past the second trimester. Yes, we're very sorry. What's your pronouns?
I mean, patriot concierge. That doesn't really tell you anything. Most of the
I always confuse you, patriot concierge, with what's his name? The kitty.
Gato Naranja.
No, wrong guy. He's in our Discord server.
Someone else. Anyways, like, yeah, the point being, yeah. Okay, so like, he's like a bloodhound. Once something gets in his head, he's not satisfied until he finds out. Yeah, so he's gone for a few seconds here.
I think he switched his name to Kitty. He's known as Kitty Jesus in our
Kitty Jesus. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, in our Discord server.
Okay. So the final thing is, like, okay, we can absolutely talk about, like, where is Trump in terms of, like, the pro-life movement. And let's face it, there's a lot of people, a lot of Republicans that say a lot more about their pro-life views and do virtually nothing with them. There's a lot of people who claim that, like, oh, I'm pro-life, but then basically when push comes to shove, they've done virtually nothing about it. And there's people
especially
who,
here
like,
in Canada.
Yeah, exactly. And there's people who, like, who push a pro-life whatever, a pro-choice view, but then they're a little more, like, reasonable.
Nuanced.
Tim Pool is not pro-life.
No, he's not.
But his views are far closer to the pro-life position than most of the pro-choice Democrats in the United States. Okay. Now, ideally, yes. Do we want a pro-life politician that has, like, a position that seems to line up with DeSantis? Absolutely. That's definitely the ideal. That's definitely something I want. But you also have to Trump's pro-life accolades and accomplishments all the way through his presidency. Okay. Yes, he's made statements, but here's the question: he's made statements, but does that mean that those statements are guaranteed to be policy all the way through his presidency? I'm not saying that it's not likely. Okay. Like, even like Barack Obama started his presidency, he said, like, oh yeah, I am a traditional family, like, guy, and he changed. He changed, and he basically went, like, no, I am full on 100%, like, like pro gay.
Okay.
That came through his presidency.
So okay. Let's clarify this. What will it take?
What will it take for what?
What will it
You're
take?
flying a screen.
I know.
To what?
What will it take for you to say enough is enough?
For what? For Trump?
Yes. What will it take? Like,
It's a lot-
will it take him saying that, like, let's trans the kids? Like, would you ditch him if he said that?
That we should trans the kids?
Yes. The fact that you're even questioning that.
No, the reason is, okay, here's the in a normal time, when we didn't have like the chaos and the craziness that we have right now in the United States, what is more important? Are you willing to basically give the reins of power to the other side that would guarantee destroy the United States if they're given power, or are you willing to give power to someone who at least has the capacity, the motivation, and at least and the accolades to make some meaningful changes, so that hopefully then that the country survives and the next guy is able to make a meaningful change towards conservatism? You have to think about this in terms of the existential threat to the country. Right?
Mhm.
Are you going to basically ditch someone because they don't line up perfectly with conservatism, and
Yeah.
so that but just basically throw it away and give it to like a basically a lunatic that's going to absolutely destroy the country? That's the question.
Well, we
It
already
is supposed
we
to
already
be-
have that.
What we have that where?
Must have been one hell of a party back. Maybe.
Like I'm surprised by people who are so willing to throw Trump under the bus, especially after all of the good things that he did during his presidency. That's
But
the
then
thing that shocks me.
he's abandoned it.
Trump, but he speaks like he's abandoned at the same time, but he is still the best person for the job of basically turning the country back around, or at least keeping us safe from the precipice. It's the same reason why do I support Pierre Poilievre? Is it because Pierre Poilievre lines up with all of my views and principles about
Mhm.
about that? No, I don't.
Yeah,
I believe
but we
Pierre
don't
Poilievre
have a
is not-
better choice in Canada. That's like, yes, Maxime Bernier
Mhm.
had, like, if the poll, like, if we have polls in Canada, here are polls in Canada, Maxime Bernier gets what, 1% of the vote for the PPC?
Maybe. No. Like last time, he got about 8%.
8%. Okay,
Total popular.
so he
vote,
got 8%.
but he didn't get any seats.
Yeah. And you have, like, in national polls, like, if we're talking about just talking about the polls that we have them now,
Yeah.
the likelihood of Trump beating Biden or DeSantis beating Biden,
Mhm.
basically even.
It depends
Basically-
on which polls you go by.
Depends on
There's-
which polls you go by, but it's essentially kind of like +1, -1, either or.
I think that's an oversimplification.
It's an
Take your point.
oversimplification, but that's, of course, assuming that they let Trump continue on the ballot. That's assuming that the convictions do not massively overturn public support for Trump, which they will. Like, absolutely no question they will, because a lot of people are on the fence about that. I think there was one poll that they interviewed that 70% of the American populace would refuse to vote for him if he was convicted.
For Trump, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It is hard to type. It is hard to type. But like, we're talking about something that, because you're saying, oh, he's the best with what we have to kind of keep this going. But like, he's the best. He's the one that has the highest chance of winning the primary
and the general
No.
right now. You're underestimating. Like, you believe that the indictments and that the and not all these things are hurting him.
They do.
But so far, we haven't seen that.
His support dropped after the indictments in the general polls.
That's actually not what I've heard. I've heard the opposite. I've heard the support actually went up after the polls and the general. Particularly in so many groups across the country are basically seeing that no, his support is actually going up in a lot of places, or it remains untouched. Like a lot of this views that Trump can't win, that it's impossible for him to win, is a lot of it is just pure guesswork and speculation based on theories about what the American public will do. A lot of that is it. So we have to remember, we're working with speculation. We're not working with guarantees. You're basically making an absolute statement. Trump can't win. And that is not an intellectually honest statement. I'll say that, because that you're saying that there's no path to victory for Trump. I don't believe that that's true. I believe that there's a lot of factors that you're not counting. One of those major factors that you're not counting is the fact that, like, it's incredibly obvious to everyone that Biden is a massive, like, a massive, like, liability for the Democratic Party. The question is like, whoever replaces him going to be able to, like, to get that support if he doesn't run? And what if he does run? We don't even know what's going to happen in that case.
We don't. No.
Okay. And on top of that, we're gonna cover these polls later on and short or something like that. But one of the big things that we're not even considering is the fact that JFK, and of course, I agree. Not only Charlie Kirk, Tim Pool, Dan Bongino, they all talked about this. They're like, there's like a singular poll that suggests that JFK is going to bleed support from Trump supporters. And they all laughed at the concept because they're like, it's like you don't understand how Republican voters think, and particularly how even like independents think in terms of, like, in terms of Trump. JFK provides a viable alternative for Democrat voters that are pissed off at Joe Biden, and I think people underestimate how much people are mad at Joe Biden and the Democrats. Not just Joe Biden, but the Democrats generally, because you're also not thinking about, look at all the cities, look at illegal immigration, look at the like, everything's falling apart all over the country. Crime is out of control. The threat of, like, invasions, the threat of more wars, all these kind of things. They're not just mad at Biden. Nothing. That's one mistake people think. If they replace Biden, all is good. Well, you forget people are pissed off at Democrats, not just Biden, and so Democratic support is also dropping. There's a reason why they're going so aggressively after Trump. It's because they know, the Democrats themselves have seen the writing on the wall, and they see that Trump is a very serious threat this time around. Because unlike before, where he was the incumbent and you blame all your problems on him, now he's not the guy in charge. They've seen life under Democratic policies, and now they're starting to get pissed off. They're coming around and saying, like, either they're pissed off about what's been done to them, the lies have been given, or they're going to say, like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want. So you have to remember, like, this is not it's not like a simple, like, 1 + 1 equation. This is a much more complicated thing that you have to remember, that Trump has a lot of stuff behind him. Now, do I believe that the indictments, do I believe that all these things that they're doing to him are dangerous and could potentially drive America towards, like, a worse scenario? Yes, absolutely. Is there a chance for a civil war? Oh, possibly. Especially if they disqualify him in several states, like they're threatening to do. But that my big disagreement with Ben Shapiro on this one is this: if somebody is doing something, I don't believe that the best thing to do is to reward them by giving them what they want, which is to remove Trump as a candidate and go with someone else. I think you're only encouraging the bad behavior and the horrible behavior.
Daddy, this is what they want, though. What they want him to win the general.
Well, that's the theory. Again,
no, that's entirely what they want.
The theory that you're working from, that Ben Shapiro's working from, is this: that they want to basically manipulate Trump to win the general, so that the primary, so that he. Now, if they believe that was actually,
they did it in 2016, they did it in 2020, they did it in 2022.
They lost in 2016.
Yep, that was a miscalculation.
They won in 2020, which you and I have both looked into.
Yes, we have both. Well, no,
there was massive shenanigans.
There were massive shenanigans in those states. Yes.
But and
massive.
But the Biden laptop.
Yes, they did. They did. Like, they suppressed these things. They did.
Yes.
But that does not account for the 5 million vote gap.
And what 5 million vote gap? You're talking about, like, the total votes?
Yes, the total votes.
Yeah, but we're still talking about the actual. How much did Trump lose by in all those 4 states combined? Was about 72,000 votes.
Yeah, but we're talking about the general election. We're talking about the country.
Yes, we're talking about, like, can he make up those votes in those battleground states? There are going to be states that are going to vote like Democrat no matter what. That's guaranteed. Okay? But the question isn't can he win the popular vote? That's not the question.
Sorry,
The question
7
is
million.
can he win those battleground states? Okay,
What is it?
that's really just the question. And I think like can never swing back to Trump or to Republicans.
Good night. Gonna say good night to Danny?
Good night, Becky. Your dad's wrong.
We'll see. Okay. Wave good night. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I think that there's
So, yeah, no, like we both agree the election system in the United States has serious issues.
yes.
What changes have there been? Like, seriously, what changes have there been?
What are you talking about?
No, like, how are we supposed to overcome these changes?
Okay, so first of all, like I said, like that you're comparing 2020 to 2020 when they're not that the country is not in the same place. Okay, you're assuming there's going to be like nothing has changed, but everything has changed. So first of all, the 2024 election is not going to be the same as 2020. Can we agree at least on that?
It's going to be different, but it's going to be different in a very different way than you think.
Well, you think that everything's going Biden's. I believe that things are shifting in such a dramatic way because remember, people voted for Biden because they're like, oh, like, well, we just don't want Trump. Fair enough. Biden didn't have enough of a record for people to actually be to know whether or not he was going to be a bad choice. There are people in the Democratic Party that are basically so pissed off at Joe Biden that they would never vote Democrat again right now. Okay. Yeah. They're like, and you think like, like people are dropping Donald Trump like by the truckload. I don't think that that's true. Republicans are motivated, motivated.
They're motivated, but I think you'll find a very large portion of Trump of Republicans are going to choose.
Democrats?
No. They'll choose to abstain.
Well, fair enough, but you also have to compensate by also realizing there's going to be a lot of Democratic voters that are also going to choose to abstain. You're thinking that it's only going to happen on one side.
Well, like they'll choose to. So yes, there will be Democrats that will choose to abstain.
A lot,
but the Democrats hate Trump more than Republicans hate the fact that if like. The interesting thing that I think is that I don't know if Trump will like if Trump loses, which I'm fairly certain he will, like almost guaranteed of it that he will in 2024.
Again,
I don't think he'll have like the self-awareness to realize that he shouldn't run in 2028.
Well, that's another story.
He's clearly like losing mental awareness, like that's clear. But oh no, he's like listen to his speeches, man. Like, he messes up simple stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
He's basically like Biden circa 2019.
Okay, so here's the question. Okay. Again, the idea that Trump can't win, again, that is way too big of an absolute statement. Like, I can point out to you 10 different, like, extremely well knowledgeable and very smart and who believe that he has extremely good chances of winning in political discourse today.
Yes,
okay,
like, and I can point 10 people the other way around.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I'm saying that it cannot be an absolute statement because you're guessing. There's no guarantees here. There's not like 100% certainty. Okay, so like this is my difficulty with. I believe that if Ron DeSantis was the nominee, do I believe that it's 100% probable that he'll win? No, I wouldn't say that. I don't think that he has like a chance. I believe like does he have good chances? Sure. Will he win? I don't know. The real answer is like, do you believe that the Trump will win? You could say either I don't know or I think he's poor. But the idea that he can't win, that it's impossible for him to, is not intellectually honest, man. There's just too many things too many variables that are impossible.
Okay, I'll put it this way: if the election was fair, then it's a question. With everything that they're doing, there's no way. Absolutely no way.
Okay, a little better answer. Much more. Here's the other thing that I need to answer. One of the things that we studied in the when we did like all the analysis of the One of the things we understood is that in a lot of states, the understanding is there is a certain number of votes that you need in order to be able to cheat without getting caught.
Mhm.
Once you have too big of a spread, it is just no longer feasible. So what a lot of political pundits said is that one of the best ways to prevent against widespread cheating is to basically like completely wipe out, basically to overwhelm the vote to the point where there's just too many voters to account for, and that you can't make it up. Okay.
How'd that work in
That's one-
Pennsylvania?
Again, like Pennsylvania is a like a mismatch of a ton of major issues. Like Pennsylvania
No, but
was
like
the source.
if we're going, and like you and I went over this when we did our
Yes.
2020 election coverage.
Okay.
Like I'll go over and I'll find the page, because I think
Just tell me the theory. Just tell me
the votes in question for
Mhm.
that one,
Yeah.
I believe are about 700,000.
Yeah, it was a big spread over there.
Like that's, and the election in Pennsylvania, I believe I think there were about 8 million.
Mhm.
Like I'm just doing some quick research on this. Pennsylvania. This is all, of course, on the fly. So, presidential election in Pennsylvania. Yeah, it was like 7 million total.
Mhm.
And what we were doing, like when we did our 2020 election special in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And the number of questioner votes. You want to take a hazard? Disputed ballots, 500,000. Like it's like you can say, but like this is 500,000 is a swing in that regard of about not calculator. 500,000 from 7 million
Mhm.
is a swing of like, I'll do the exact math for you. It's a swing of 7%.
Okay, so what is the overall point you're trying to make here?
Well, the overall point is that if 7% is not enough, like if you can overcome, if 7% of that vote is questionable, like a 7% gain or a 7% loss is immense in an election.
Yeah, so what you're basically advocating for is that no Republican can win with that kind of power to swing elections.
Well, I'm saying what I am saying.
That's basically the claim, right? If they can swing, if they can manipulate the election in such a way that they can swing 7% of votes in a like battleground state for Trump, then they can easily do it for DeSantis or Ramaswamy or Nikki Haley or anybody else. So essentially, the claim is that their ability to overcome any kind of like a voter spread, like what state is so powerful that there's no way any Republican can win. That sounds like
it's questionable.
The argument that you're trying to make.
It's questionable.
Okay, so here's the question: if they were able to do 7% in Pennsylvania, why would the marches so close in Georgia, in Nevada, in Arizona, and other places? If they're able to pull such a massive spread in somewhere like Pennsylvania, why can't they pull that massive spread? But I think Georgia was like under 17, like maybe like under 10,000. I forgot the
No,
number.
Georgia was more than that.
Yeah,
Georgia
but like
was
in a state of millions, and only a couple like a little over.
Georgia was 300,000.
Was it 300,000?
300,000 disputed.
No. How much did Biden win by?
Oh, 4,000.
He won by 4,000?
Yes.
Official votes?
Official.
In a state of millions.
Yes,
so
I know.
If they have the power to swing an election that powerful, why would they cut it so close?
Appearances.
Okay, that's okay. So here's the bottom line.
That's why it takes.
If your belief is that the Democrats have basically completely rigged the system, that they can basically manipulate every election from here on in, then basically the theory is that America is no longer a state that elects its presidents. It's a state that basically chooses its presidents. The elections are basically nothing more than
Then a show trial?
A show trial, essentially. That's basically the theory that you.
Almost.
Okay, so I hold a different theory. I hold that the election system still has some absolute problems, serious issues. I believe that the popular opinion has shifted more positively towards Trump and more negatively towards Biden and the Democrats because of all the issues that are happening in the last couple of years. And I believe, like, now, do I believe that does the Republican Party have the ability to overcome these? I don't know. There's a lot of problems with the Republican. The RNC. There's a lot of problems with the ground game of the Republicans. They're not really doing a great job of getting supporters out to get the vote out. So there's a lot of questions about that. Charlie Kirk's talked about it. A lot of people have talked about that. There's a lot of issues going forward. However, I think that if I had to put who is more likely to win, is it Ron DeSantis? Is it Donald Trump? Right now, more polls that I've seen than not, Trump is beating Biden. Okay, you can say that DeSantis is also beating Biden, but then the assumption that I think you're working from, I'm also working from this assumption, is that Biden is not going to be the nominee. That's a very popular assumption right now. A lot of people believe Biden will not be the nominee. And if he does go away, then again, we have to wonder, is Donald Trump going to be like Gavin Newsom? Or is Ron DeSantis going to be Gavin Newsom? Again, that's a wild card. We don't know how that's going to play out.
It is a wild card.
Okay. I do believe that Donald Trump is the best chance to win this election. Do I believe that they're doing alternate areas, crappy stuff, and they're cheating and they're like a bunch of liars? Absolutely. All of this is absolutely a gigantic mess that they're creating. And I think that the people to blame are not the Republican voters, and they're definitely not Trump. I don't blame Trump for what's happening. I think that he's basically a victim of this weaponized system. It only reinforces the idea that we have to absolutely gut the system, gut it from the inside out.
Yeah.
But I do believe that Trump is, like, personally, I still believe that Trump is the best candidate. Has he said things that make me really question and wonder how much he's strayed from his original views and beliefs? Yes. But so far, because of his presidency and what he did in his presidency, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's earned it. He's earned it because he's the first president that actually went to the March for Life.
Yep.
No other president has done that. He's the first president to actually move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
Yeah, that's true.
No other president did that. He's done a lot of great things. I think he's earned the right at least to be given the benefit of the doubt.
And
if anything,
and at the end of his 2020 term, I was totally willing to give him that.
Absolutely.
But his statements since then have put me
really
against him.
On him.
Really sour.
Absolutely. But I think if he is the candidate, I think I think it would be a mistake not to back him. If anybody just wants to abandon Trump because he's been a problematic state, because ultimately we're in a time where I don't think that's a luxury the United States has. The amount of damage that's been done to the country over the last 4 years, that is going to get 10 times worse if something isn't done to right the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of the luxury of I don't like this candidate next election might not exist for a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
And so the idea that I don't like some of Trump's poor statements or whatever. Well, I'm going to hand the election back to the side that's burning the country to the ground. I think that's a gigantic mistake. Again, same reason why I'm voting Poilievre.
Mm-hmm.
Do I like Poilievre? Do I think he's the best? Do I think he has belief? No. I think the guy has a lot of problems. I think he probably gave him a lot of things. But ultimately, is he 10 times better than the guy who's literally destroying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. And my point of view has always been the same. It's always been I want a man of principled moral conviction.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And the guy that has the principled moral conviction and a good chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty clear.
Ron DeSantis.
Yep. Anyways,
Okay.
we've talked about this for a long time.
One last point I'll make. I believe that there's a place in for like leaders like Jehu, because even though like Jehu in the Bible, there's a general who was nominated by Elisha. He was not a godly general.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of character flaws, a lot of issues, but he did a lot of good in purging the country of a lot of the that was done.
Mm-hmm.
And he was not perfect, and he definitely made mistakes that he had to pay. But I think he, God raised him up, God anointed him, basically, did actually bring about a real necessary change to the country. Do I believe that Trump is going to be the moral leader that's going to make America again? Maybe a little more doubtful this time around. Maybe he's a little pissed off at what they're doing to him and all that. Whatever.
Yep.
But is he going to basically burn a lot of the crap that's been happening down, and maybe do some house cleaning?
Maybe.
I think there's a higher chance. I think there's 0% chance that Biden, if he wins again.
Yeah.
But I think that there's at least a good chance that Trump will do something.
Yeah.
If he gets back in there,
he'll do something.
I think a something percent is better than a nothing chance.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to the news you may have missed.
We'll have to skip through these, man.
We will. We really have to fly through them because we're already at 2 hours. So Yemen's Houthi rebels claim attacks on Israel, drawing their main sponsor Iran closer to a mass war. Yeah. Don't really need to talk about that. Yeah, well, these are rebels, so it's not Yemen itself, it's the rebels, but they're sort of receiving support from the Yemenese government.
Come on, rebels, what are you...
So let's keep going. 10 seconds.
All right. So Sam Bankman-Fried, convicted on $10 billion fraud. $10 billion fraud. Yeah. As his parents look on in tears, capping Crypto King's epic fall. So the man pretty much screwed over tons of major people, finance and politics and all that, is now officially busted by the courts. It's all over, man. Sam. He's busted.
Oh no! Breaking news: Hamas leaders lack vitamin D. What does that mean? You're gonna have to elaborate on that.
They're in tunnels, man.
Oh,
yeah. Steve, you're not even reading it. I knew exactly what.
I thought it was some sort of disease or something.
Oh, because vitamin D you get it from the sun.
Ah, yes. Aha.
And so they're in tunnels. You know what? I will give you that.
Yep.
Joke.
That was a decent joke. That. It was a joke.
That was well done. Well done, bro. Yep. Well done.
See, sometimes when I read breaking news, I'm just like, what?
I think he got a little giddy. He's like, woo! It's like, oh, it's a joke. Oh, you... that would have been a good April 1st prank. That was good.
Well.
All right, you got the next one, man.
Yeah, I got it. Let's go. All right, so great news. Homeschooling is officially America's fastest growing form of education after years of absurd school closures, insane mask and vaccine requirements, and too much woke insanity to count. Well, are you really surprised by this? I don't think you are.
In the words of Homer, woohoo!
Yep. Washington Post, homeschooling's rise from fringe to fastest growing forms of education, a district by district look at homeschooling's explosive growth, which a post-analysis finds has far outpaced the rate at private and public schools.
Yeah,
so massive gain in 2020, of course.
Homeschooling for the win. I like it.
So yeah, homeschooling is doing very well, which is good.
Let's keep it up. All right, real clear politics. The polls. General election. Trump versus Biden versus Kennedy versus West. In case you guys don't know,
it's
Cornell
Cornell
West.
Not Kanye.
Not Kanye West. It's Cornell West. So these are a lot of the big polls that have come out in the last little while. So this is the Messenger Harris X poll. Says that Trump would win by 39%, Biden by 36%, Kennedy would get 16%, and West would get 4.3%. The spread is 3 points for Biden. The Quinnipiac poll says that Biden wins by 1 point. So 36 for Biden, 35 for Trump, and Kennedy would get 19% of the vote and 6% for Cornell West. In USA Today's Suffolk poll, Trump and Biden basically pull out even.
Tie.
And Kennedy gets 13% of the vote, West gets 4%. And then another poll, the Harvard Harris poll says that Trump would win by 7%. Kennedy would get 21% of the vote. West by 3%.
Okay, well, West is... So, is West officially running as an independent?
Yes.
Oh. Interesting. Because, yeah, West would definitely take supporters
Massive
from Biden.
amounts of supporters from
Because
Biden.
West is very far left. Kennedy is more of a
very big
populist.
Well,
He's a
he
populist.
holds a lot of populist in some ways, not populist in others. He's very anti-Second Amendment. That's a big part of Kennedy, and a lot of people who are very big Second Amendment not like Kennedy because he is not big on that. He's also he's not pro-life, but he's kind of like a softer pro-choice. He's kind of like
Kennedy?
the pro-choice.
Yeah.
Kennedy.
He's
a
not. He doesn't
pro-choice.
advocate for all 40 weeks.
Yes. Rare, what's it called? Rare and...
Oh,
what
safe,
was
like
the-
the Hillary Clinton
Safe,
style.
Safe, legal,
Safe,
and rare.
legal, and rare.
I think that's what Kennedy's stance is. And all.
Yeah.
So basically,
he's-
there's quite a few polls that are showing. So here, like look at the one below, from the other one. It says here Trump wins by 3, Trump wins by 6, Biden wins by 1, Trump wins by 2. There's a tie, and it wins by 7. So the idea right now is that so far, despite everything that's going on, all the legal challenges, a lot of the polls are still seem to be leaning towards Trump. And one of the things that people have said in the past is that Trump didn't have this level of support even before the 2020 election. That's one thing people have pointed out. Something to keep in mind, that he had a lot more kind of head-to-head polls. He wasn't quite as far ahead on polls as he was there. So something to keep in mind. Keep that in mind, because it's looking, at least right now, if you're a Trump supporter, it's good. But obviously the big factor isn't so much the polling. It's what else is going to happen in the election. So take it away, Stephen. 7 News.
Continuing on. Israeli armor suffers more casualties as Hamas publishes video showing tanks blown up. So Hamas military wings published scenes showing its members blowing up several Israeli tanks and vehicles south Zaytun neighborhood, Gaza City. So is this them flying out of the
This is
tunnel?
crazy,
Yep.
yeah. He crawls out of the tunnel. Here comes the,
RPG.
there's the tunnel. Look at how he's dressed. He's
Yep.
dressed like just a regular guy,
Yep.
right? Yeah, it's one job.
Yep. Fire RPGs. Making it out to be like a video game.
There he goes.
Hmm.
So,
يا رب اسمك الأعظم يا رب سدد رمينا يا رب اسمك الأعظم سدد رمي مجاهدينا
why do they always yell the same thing?
Yelling what?
Allahu Akbar.
Oh yeah, I didn't actually mention that. They were chanting that at the university. No, at the university here in Calgary.
Oh, they were yelling that too?
Like our friend Cade.
Yeah.
He was going for lunch on Monday? Yeah, Monday. And he's texting the group and he's like, they're literally chanting Allahu Akbar outside.
You know what that means, right?
Yeah, God is greater.
God is great.
Greater, actually.
Maybe wrong. I was going by...
From what I've looked up,
it could be. It could
majority
be.
sources
Maybe-
say God is greater.
Okay. Yeah. It's basically like, a statement of faith, essentially.
Yeah. Conviction.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Crusaders yelling, God wills it, God wills it. Like that kind of thing. So, really quick note on this.
Yeah. Yes,
This
that
is-
was
this
actually
is-
generally similar. I was watching that video and I'm like, yes, this reminds me of like the Viet Cong.
Yeah, yeah. This is exactly what I was saying before. about this, Steve. I was saying that people who were criticizing the aerial bombardment of the Gaza Strip and all that, I was basically saying this is why they have to bombard. They have no choice. They're going to do a ground assault, and it is incredibly dangerous to do a ground assault. If first, they had to soften the targets. They knew they have massive tunnel,
commandos, and
everything like that. Because anybody who's watched, what's it like? What do you call it? Letters from Iwo Jima. Okay, the Allies when they invaded like Japan, they were going after the Allies. They basically had a massively overwhelming force coming to Iwo Jima, and the Japanese basically got in bunkers, and they took massive casualties, massive, because it is very difficult to basically take out an enemy that has completely and totally basically bunkered itself. Okay, this is why you have to do this, because if they didn't do that, then it would be an absolute slaughter to urban warfare, like building the building in Gaza. This is why they had. Why again? When you can get one guy with an RPG that can take out a tank, that pretty quickly can eliminate your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why I supported the idea of like aerial bombardment.
Yeah,
you had no choice. You had to soften those
because you have to try and take out. Well, like we were talking about the refugee camp when they bombed that target. There's a huge crater. No, you know why?
You definitely, when you do that, we have to do it like what's it called? Like Dr.
Air
Evil.
quotes?
Like, when they bombed the refugee camp.
Refugee camp.
Refugee camp.
Yes, because it's not a refugee camp if it's a city that's been there for 50 years. But
exactly.
When they bombed it, and there's a massive crater in one of the sites that they bombed. Do you know why that is?
Because there was like a tunnel underneath.
A tunnel underneath with armaments and ammunitions that they blew up.
Of course.
So yes, refugee camp. That is with armaments and munitions and explosives that blew up after the bombs landed.
Yeah. Hey, let's put a refugee camp in this military compound. Let's put a refugee camp in this, like a airport, like military airport.
Yeah.
Let's put a refugee camp in this tank.
Let's fire off missiles. Well, like there was a picture that they were showing, and they were firing off missiles
from the refugee camp.
No, well, not from the refugee camp, but they were also firing off missiles right outside of the playground for a school. And it's that's not obvious why they're doing that.
I wonder.
I wonder. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
anyways, let's take the next story. This is from Not the Bee. Scientists rename birds to shun race. Defeat white supremacy. Haha! We are winning against that white supremacy. Take that, birds. So, LOL, this title. Can you read the title, Stephen? Because it's not my article.
Yes. You want me to read the title?
Read the tweet, because it won't show on
the
browser.
From USA Today. Dozens of birds to be renamed in effort to shun racism and make science more diverse.
Well, that's a great UK accent. I liked it. Okay. Oh my goodness, you think that was from the... No, here we are.
No.
Not to be in a very real clown world. The Washington Post has a more stoic headline that mirrors leftist groupthink. Dozens of bird names honoring enslavers and racists will be changed. The American Ornithological Society says it will alter the names of North Americans named after humans, starting with up to 80. Actually, birds, because I'm curious now. Birds they rename.
I don't think they say in this article what birds they rename.
The group said it will prioritize birds whose names trace to enslavers, white supremacists, and robbers of indigenous graves. Among them is one of the most famous birders in U.S. history, John James Audubon.
So this is some of the examples.
Okay.
So birds named for Audubon and other famous birders who chronicle the animals in North America will be renamed by a bunch of woke buffoons who are triggered with the thought of acknowledging the accomplishments of people born centuries before them.
Gosh. Audubon. Yeah, so basically everything is offensive now.
Is this whole... They're saying the whole thing stems back to to the woman who got mad because where a black birder got into an argument against a white lady who wouldn't leash her dog in an off-leash zone.
Central Park Herring, one of the biggest hoaxes in New York City.
Yes.
Yes, that was a hoax, by the way. Anybody that doesn't know about that was like when you actually find out the full story, it was like, yeah, that was garbage. They totally, that was totally nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what this reminds me?
It was almost as much as the hoax as that person who...
The mattress girl?
No, well, that one too, but I'm talking about also another story from New York about the lady who rented the bike.
Right, and they had that video. And
they had the video, and the kid, the black teen stole it from. Yeah, they were calling her Karen because she wouldn't let them steal it.
And by the way, that was a scam that a lot of people were doing on purpose because they would steal the bike and then resell it, and you can't trace it back to them. But this story is a perfect, like real life example of the song. Everything I hate is literally Hitler. Literally Hitler.
Yeah, I know.
That's pretty much what the song is.
Yep. But, you know, speaking of someone who actually does believe that everything that she hates is literally Hitler, let's go into the Shrewd Check.
The Shrewd Check.
I need to bring in the news stinger. I keep trying to resize it.
Small.
It won't. It won't let me resize it. I need to delete the video.
Okay, you have to do it again.
Yeah, I got to do it. All right, so let's watch this video. This is just some brief context. This is the quote: "If Hamas had me, they would probably make sure I was okay. They'd probably comfort me. They'd probably feed me, make sure I had medical attention, make sure I was okay." So let's review this woman's absolutely bonkers statements, and shower her with some facts.
Let's see if we agree.
And please, in the chat, just shower her with facts too.
Yes, please.
Hamas would do to me in Gaza? Bitch, I'm far more likely to be in danger by Israel in
Gaza
by Hamas. If Hamas had me, they would probably make sure I was okay. They would probably comfort me. They would probably feed me, make sure I had medical attention, make sure I was doing okay. How do I know that?
After they rape you over and over and over and
can
over
we stop
again.
There for a second? They don't have any medical attention for their own citizens.
Yeah.
You think they're going to go out of their way just to take care of you? It's like you got to be. I don't know if she's trolling. I mean, she may be, but it seems
100% legit.
There are people.
Oh yeah, there are people like
literally this dense. There are people who have been asked point blank, like, "You're gay, aren't you?" "Oh yeah, I'm totally gay."
Yeah.
"What do you think Hamas would do to you if you were in Gaza?" They're like, "Oh, I'm sure it'd be fine." And I'm like, like, what do you do with people like that? Like, it's like the stories we heard about a couple years ago of and this has happened in the last 5 years. There have been leftists, like left wing, ideologues who basically believed that the whole idea that there's evil people in the world and that there's other places in the world that are like crappy places that they're evil. They thought that was a complete myth. So to prove them wrong, they traveled all over the world, and just to prove that the whole concept of evil is like made up concept. And literally dozens of them have been murdered on their trips. They literally go missing.
Well, where was the one? Where was the one that we highlighted? It was it in Iran?
It was somewhere in the Middle East. Yes,
I think it was Iran.
They were warned. And then bikers literally hijacked on the street, and they never heard from him again.
Nope.
It was that kind of belief. Because remember, these people live in an echo chamber. Yeah, thank you. Darwin Award winners. That's exactly what they are. And by the way, this woman is black. I know I point that out for one reason only. Because if you believe that there's racism in the United States, you better go to a country like the Middle East to see what they think of not only black people, but also like black leftists. They're not only are they racist against other cultures, because they are. And this is like something people who travel across the world, they know that America and Canada are like some of the least racist places that exist. You go to China, you go to Japan, they're racist against each other. They hate each other.
That washing machine, and they're definitely racist against blacks.
Yes.
Oh, like anybody who's analyzed the movie trailers. Like, what was it? Black Panther 2 was the first one.
They hit his face.
No, Black Panther, they did. Black Panther, they hit his face. Black Panther 2, they couldn't because all of them had black faces.
Oh, right.
And so the Black Panther 2 was actually one of the first ones that they kept the original one. Because
Right,
they're
but
like,
also like
they like basically they went, it was like almost a straight to DVD in China. It was like, nope, we're not going to do it.
Star Wars,
The
Force Awakens, I think it was.
Yep.
They took Finn out of the
No,
main poster.
they didn't take him out. They just reduced
They reduced the size, right?
They reduced his size by about 80%.
Yeah. So let's go back to Black Lady.
I showed
Black
Steph
Crazy Lady.
that picture, and she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're super racist."
Yeah, very much so.
All right, let's keep going.
Because every motherfucking hostage who has come out from being, taken by Hamas has only spoken positively about them. And
At
they've spoken
gunpoint.
about how Israel put their lives in danger. So what would Hamas do to me? I'm far better off.
But you pause it there. Can you pause it there? What is the story?
Oh, that's
Do
a
you know,
perfect.
do you know the
That's
story
like, this is basically how I hear her talking.
there? Yeah. Good place to stop.
I know.
What is the story? Because I don't know. I don't know if I've heard.
Okay, so what she's referring to is she's talking about hostage videos where people were talking, because basically the international media was trying to be like, oh no, like the hostages are treated so well. And so they were referring to these videos where basically Israelis and other people that have been taken hostage had videos taken of them clearly at gunpoint, where they're like, oh yes, they've treated me for my injuries and they fed me and they take very good care of me.
Wait, hold on. They're saying this stuff while still in custody.
Yes, because they're held at gunpoint to
Are
do
you
it.
serious?
Yeah, because they're like, well, it's clear, because it's very clear by any other standard that we know of how they do hostage videos. It's like, you say this or we'll shoot you.
It's like I think I've seen cartoons where somebody's like reading a prepared statement,
Yeah,
and there's like a gun that's like kind of like moving out of the frame, like right next to their head or something like that.
Oh yeah, and
That's what she's basing it on?
She's saying this is evidence of that the hostages are treated wonderfully.
Well, and here's the other thing. The one thing, these are Israelis who are perfectly at peace in Israel. You're saying they were treated better by Hamas, who kidnapped them in the first place, and then and like rather than Israel, where they were living by like have you ever heard of Stockholm syndrome?
Mm-hmm.
Even if your theory works, there's a Stockholm syndrome going on here.
Yeah,
Dear Lord.
This is entirely. It's so dumb.
Oh my gosh! Like I can't believe people actually think like this.
Oh well, that's the problem. That's why we have I'm talking about on campus. On campus, we had Halloween. People painted the rocks because they didn't want the rocks to be political, so they painted the rocks with Halloween colors. So they painted them with ghosts and scary faces. One day later, all of them were saying Palestine, and then they were. I think one of them said this morning was like, "Were the 3,000 children killed terrorists?" And it's like, oh,
no. It's the left and Hamas shared one thing. Like among many things, they share one thing in common. It's domination by power. That's the one thing that's the one language they both speak. By the way, Stephen, can you read that comment by Generalissimo?
Yep, totally. So, Generalissimo, in one video of the survivors, not hostage, a woman said when the IDF got there was friendly fire. Other videos, some hostage had good manners. Another case of the hostage release, she said that after they broke her ribs, they were pretty nice to her and took care of her. So yeah, Stockholm Syndrome indeed. Lady Urs just mixed everything up, probably prepared propaganda material she watched somewhere. Yeah, don't doubt
probably. It. By the way, imagine there's a lot of movies where you have bank robbers that go into a bank, and they treat the hostages very nicely. Mm-hmm. It's like they're really, really nice. Hostages. Yeah, he was just really nice, and he had a gun to your head. Yeah, but he never actually pointed it at me. So
he probably
nice
just needed
guy.
Food, his soup for his family.
Yeah, exactly. My gosh.
Let's keep going.
Oh, these people. I hate to say it, but some people are.
It's mind-numbingly stupid.
Makes you wonder. Yes, go on.
With Israel, Israel's the biggest danger. I'm afraid of Israel. I'm not afraid of fucking Hamas. They want the liberation and the freedom of the Palestinians.
Let's rephrase that. They want the extermination of the Jews. Not the liberation. They want the extermination.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how many different kinds of people live in Israel?
Oh, lots. Isn't it 22% that are Arabs?
more than 20% of the population of Israel and citizens of Israel are Arab. And I remember when Ben Shapiro made this point, I was like shocked. It was like, what percentage of Gaza is Israeli, Stephen?
None.
What percentage of Egypt is Israeli?
None.
What percentage of Jordan is Israeli?
We're going to keep saying none because it's true.
It's everywhere. It's like you're telling me that Israel is dangerous for Arabs and people of other cultures, and they are the most multicultural state. And like, there's a level of ignorance that these people have that is insane.
It's absolutely
literally insane. It's unbelievable.
Yep. Okay, let's continue. We have 30 more seconds.
And they had to turn to this, to even receive a percentage of the people who Israel have been imprisoning for years. Hamas would care for me. Israel would kill me. You are being fed false information. And the rest of us are beginning to lose patience with your ignorance. Get a grip. You can start your journey to intellectual liberation by considering to what extent is somebody supposed to defend themselves, who are they defending themselves from, and who is the original antagonizer. The only people to ever threaten me throughout this entire time of me
pause for a second before she
it's almost done.
on your side. Get a grip.
Get the grip, Stephen.
Get the
grip. Get the grip. I'm the captain now.
I am the captain now.
Name that movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, do you actually know that film changed policy in regards to that?
Oh, the film or the actual?
The film.
What was the
film?
Was the policy change?
So before, like in the film, they use water cannons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, cargo ships retire ex-Delta Ranger snipers.
Yes.
And do you know how much piracy has gone down?
Completely.
Like, I think it was like 1,000%.
Yeah, it was insanely down
massive.
because they have no defense against an actual sniper. Yeah, that's how you deal with terrorists. You shoot them in the head. It's like, well, that solved that problem. Yeah, so what does Side Network say? So there's a famous case of Gilad Shalit. He was kidnapped from Israel. No one after agreement for Hamas to release Gilad in return for thousands of terrorists held in Israel prisons. The exchange went well, and Gilad returned home. So they discovered that he was held in a basement, never seen the light of the sun. While he was down there, a family supports Hamas was living upstairs and bringing him food. So he was basically in solitary confinement, like ages. But like we have to remember, Hamas are the good guys here. They're the good guys. They're the benevolent and like the moral, terrorists. They're like the gold standard of terrorism. They're the ones that we'll give you a scrap of food every so often. They won't let you starve to death. They're gold standard terrorists. Very important. That lady though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, keep in note. Spearhead Gamer.
Yep.
I got a warn. I had to allow your comments for saying that they are fulfilling prophecy by killing the Jews. So,
no, they're not fulfilling prophecy. They're fulfilling a mandate. I think that's a better way to put it. Because so people say like Christianity and Islam, they're basically the same thing. They're not.
No.
If you Stephen and I have expertise in the Bible. We've studied the Bible. And we can pretty much tell you fairly accurately.
We know when to kill Jews.
The New Testament, okay. The Bible does not mandate. The Bible does not mandate the attack or the actual hurting of
innocents.
Of innocents, and particularly doesn't mandate or things like if you go to the Old Testament, tricky to parse that out, but New Testament doesn't really push that. This is why Christianity has generally on for the most part been a religious faith that does not actually advocate for domination and coercion and fighting. Yes, there are lots of examples throughout history, but they're less common than most Christian practice. However, in Islam, there are multiple places where it's very easy to come to the conclusion that the Prophet Muhammad called for a religious war against non-Muslims. And while people suggest that for a long time in the Middle East, there was the Jizya, or there's a religious tax on non-Muslims that was the only thing that and that the Muslims were very benevolent over Christians and Jews. The actual history is a lot less like that. It's not a hallmark history. It's more of the nature is metal history. They're a lot less tolerant, I think, and especially in the modern day. Now, is there nuances? Yes, like the U.S. and Israel do have a history of fomenting a lot of the things that we're seeing nowadays. Okay, Israel did back Hamas early on, thinking like they were going to create a divide and conquer strategy in the Gaza Strip. Did they have some part to play in that? Absolutely. But the question isn't whether or not they started it. The question is, do you have to stop evil once it's gone? The way I look at it is like Kung Fu. Okay? Like Shifu created Tai Lung, okay, the big baddie in the first movie. He created him.
And then
he was fully responsible
to prevent the rise or the return of Tai Lung created the return of Tai Lung.
Yes, but ultimately,
a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, all that kind of stuff. But he was also responsible for stopping him.
Yes.
And he did what he could to stop him. Like the question isn't, okay, can you make a case that Israel has some blood in their hands? And yes, that Israel did some shady stuff and all this stuff is potentially Israel and the U.S.? Yes. But does that mean that you don't have a right or to stop evil when you see it, terrorism when you see it, human atrocities when you see them? No, I think that the problem is most leftists believe that you should just let the evil people, the wicked evil terrorists, just keep hurting you indefinitely. It's almost like, well, you have no right to push back because you're the one who like it's like imagine if Steven has a dog and he just incredibly neglectful of that dog there. The dog becomes incredibly angry, runs around the neighborhood terrorizing people and attacking children. It's like, well, I mean, he can't really intervene because, I mean, it's his fault that the dog is out of control. It's like, well, no, yes, it's your fault that the dog's out of control, but you also should go out there and stop the dog from tearing a little kid apart. Maybe that's something you should do.
Maybe.
Last thought, Stephen?
Oh, no.
About that lady?
About that lady? Unfortunately, this point of view is very, very prominent.
Common? Yes, it is.
Like, I would like if I wasn't there for work, if I was just kind of walking around, I would find it very interesting if I went and printed out the faces of all the children that were hostages and put them on campus around the rocks and see what happens. I would love to film what happens because it'd be a very, like if I wasn't working one Friday or something, to just be like, these children are still like hostages. Why are you doing this? Like, you saw that video from New York, I'm guessing.
Which one?
So there was a video
of videos from New York.
Yeah, there was a video from a Palestinian supporter. Yes, so people will post Free Palestine signs on top of them, or they will take them off. Yes, that's probably what will happen. And you film those people because you're like, oh, you are actively suppressing the children that are still being held hostage to this day. So your point of view has it's just for exposure. It exposes what they're really supporting. They're not supporting the plight of the innocent. They're not supporting the service of kind of a good and noble purpose. They really care about is, and we've talked about this before in kind of different notions, is the kind of cowboy, like there has to be a good guy and a bad guy. And their good guy is Hamas. They're unwilling to admit it. You can ask them, be like, can you condemn Hamas? Be like, well, be like, I don't support what they're doing. It's like, okay, well you condemn them. No.
Yeah. Not a yes or no question.
Yeah.
That's what they usually say.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Interesting
the razor
question.
Blade.
The razor blade.
Some post had a razor blade, so someone just rip it off and got their hand cut. I saw that one. There's a question. Now, I'm not saying it is, but people are rightfully asking whether or not that is a hoax or not. It could be. I'm not saying it is, but The reason is because the person who's posting the video is also the one holding the paper, and like so the question is that on purpose? With because people are known to create hoaxes in order to make the other side look bad. So it's a possibility. And yeah, I could also see somebody pissed off at people doing that kind of thing. I think what it comes down to is really simple. Is what are these groups? The leftists and and pro-Palestine, you know what? Not pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas. Okay, leftists and pro-Hamas have one thing in common. They're all about overwhelming their opposition. They're not tolerant. They're not about having conversation. They're all about domination. And this is we see this all the time when we deal with transgender ideologues, when we deal with gay ideologues, when we deal with Antifa, when we deal with BLM. It's all do what I say or else, or shut up, sit down and shut up. That's their approach. That's always their approach. Hence, why people who are pro Hamas / pro Palestine, why do they go around to these posts? Because they want to dominate. Because they hate your speech and they want to remove it. And this is the same thing that people do at pro-life displays. People who hate the pro-life movement will go to pro-life displays, even if they're non-offensive, and tear them down. They'll wreck their stuff. They'll take down their tables. All that kind of stuff. They will literally attack people because they
get
hate
in
them.
random motorbike fights in front of.
We've had that. We have had that.
Yeah, I wish we had that. Like, I will try and find that video. Like, I don't have the video of the fight, unfortunately.
I know they're bullies.
Yeah, they are.
Just remember that these people are bullies. They're and so like again, they're trying to claim that the bullies are the good guys.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. These are two stories which are not related to the Israel-Palestine conflict, but are somewhat related because we are Canadian.
Oh, this is the weekly exposure.
Yes.
Okay.
So, from the post-millennial, prosecution witness and Freedom Trucker trial admits there's no evidence that Lish and Barber were ringleaders. So, prosecution witness in the trial of Tamara Lish and Chris Barber suggested Tuesday the Freedom Convoy protest was more spontaneous and not organized and rigidly led by Lish and Barber. OPS Sergeant Jordan Blonde appointed as liaison officer between Barber and the police, described the Freedom Convoy as unattached and not aligned with anybody. As part of the police unit assigned to message protesters that they had to leave Ottawa's downtown. I do believe the people I spoke to over the 3 weeks in February had the same wishes and desires. They had the same general reasoning for being in the capital city at that time. Crown is trying to establish that Lish and Barber were ringleaders of the protest and encourage protesters to disregard the instructions of the police. The pair are charged with mischief, counseling others to commit mischief, intimidation, and instructing police as leaders of the Freedom Convoy that polarized residents of Ottawa in 2022. And arguably began to roll back COVID mandates, yes. So
they did actually, like it was a real obvious difference after that.
Oh, clear. Like Alberta changed its mandate schedule from May to March.
Yeah, and pretty soon after that, everything started
changing.
Yeah.
So
I would say it's by far. I will say, in the last since in the entire time that I've been in Canada, there's been a few moments that made me incredibly proud to be here. One of them was obviously winning the cup back in 2010?
Oh no, the Olympic gold.
The Olympic gold. When we won the Olympic gold, I was super proud of Canada.
When Sid the Kid won the thing in overtime.
From McGinley, who gave him the assist. I was like, yeah,
Calgary.
That's Sid, yeah, that's right. It was good. And then there was a couple other moments, but one of the proudest moments for me as a Canadian, and seriously, actually, I think he surpassed that, was the Freedom Convoy. You and I covered it live when it was on its way, and we were like shocked at the number of people in overpasses all across the country. It was just like overpass after overpass after overpass, just mountains of support for these people. When they went there, they were like the most incredibly like moral people out there. They were cleaning up garbage. They were feeding the poor, like all that kind of stuff. They were doing a better job of taking care of the Ottawa was doing. And ultimately, even when they got arrested, they did it with an incredible amount of class. It was amazing. You reading something?
Yeah. I'm just asking Sai.
Sai Network.
Yeah. Are you from Israel's side? Like, I know you're clearly quite informed on the topic. Are you an Israeli, or do you have friends in Israel? Like, Generalissimo, he is from Tel Aviv. He told us that last Thursday. And we've had several conversations with Jews. It appears as though, like, the two groups which we're going to be known by are the rabid LGBTQ people in Calgary and Israelis. So, you know, we'll take it.
Israelis or Palestinians?
Israelis.
Really? Why? Oh, because of the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I've noticed that actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like we
a couple of weeks ago. This was so cool actually. We were talking about the Hamas. The Israel collapse, and then suddenly one guy comes on, and he basically through the chat, he ends up joining the conversation.
He joined in the audio chat because he's like, hey, like I have people that I know in country.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna show you some news articles of like my family and friends that are involved, and we're like, sure, go for it.
Absolutely. It was pretty great actually. I was really happy about it.
I think we've only had 2 people on the chat who are like actively supporting Hamas or actively supporting Palestine.
Or at least they seemed to be may have been trolling.
Yeah, they might have been trolling.
Dr. Strange the Legend, yes, Tommy Donald.
He's pretty cool.
My friend Chad loves him like to death.
Yeah.
And we're big fans. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
But so like for those who don't know,
Dr. Strange, I think this is so it's kind of funny. This is the second or third time you've joined our chat, and every single time you've asked us if you listen to Tom McDonald. So yes, my wife is obsessed with him.
Yes, he's really amazing.
He's cool. He's cool.
Yeah, he's like I think okay. My take. He's not a perfect example or perfect comparison, but he's basically like the freedom movement's Eminem.
Yep.
He's incredibly talented. He's
usually very poignant
powerful,
in his messages.
Very poignant, very like raw. He's amazing. I really enjoy him. So yeah. So just a quick cap on the story. For those of you who don't know, the Canadian government has basically gotten away with biggest abuses of power in Canadian history, and the Freedom Convoy crackdown of innocent protesters. And they're not done. They want to basically have their pound of flesh, and they're using 2 people who showed leadership, but in a very chaotic and a very difficult to organize thing. So we're watching this trial.
Basically charging them as well. How much jail time are they technically facing?
I have to go back to watch
10 to 15 years. I think
they want to make examples of them.
They do.
It's the same thing that they did with Enrique Barrio.
Yeah,
the Proud Boys in the States. They want to make examples of these people to try, basically tell them like not that if you break the law we're going to get you. It's more like if you challenge us, if you oppose the people in power, we will basically abuse our power to hurt. That's basically the message.
All right, so let's finish off with
the highlight of the week.
The highlight of the week. So this is from. It's posted on Gays Against Groomers, but it is a video by PragerU about detransitioning.
Nobody.
So let's watch.
I wanted to alleviate my pain. I also didn't want to be who I was. I always just felt like there was just something wrong with me, and I was trying to figure it out, and I used the internet to help me do that.
Seemingly out of nowhere, we've suddenly seen a huge spike in media depictions and social media depictions of transgenderism. It's even reached the mainstream advertising world.
The people who are consuming this are children, 13, 14, 15 years old, and it's so easy for them to literally be groomed.
I just woke up one day, looked at myself in the mirror, and asked myself, what the heck am I doing?
When trans-identified kids are referred to specialized gender clinics, they're often told that they're going to get comprehensive, multidisciplinary mental health assessments. We know that that's not true.
I was easy to manipulate.
The ideology that has become dominant at these clinics is that trans kids know who they are, and therefore to question them is completely taboo.
My childhood was ruined. Who's there for their detransitioning? Nobody.
Nobody would help me because they had more concerns of me reversing everything.
Did this thing to alleviate this gender dysphoria that wasn't there before, but you made it into a problem, and now your body image issues are worse. That's not supposed to happen. What do we do now?
movie night.
Yeah. There's a lot of movies that we want to
How
have.
long is the film?
I mean, I don't know how long, but I would definitely watch that.
Yeah.
Is this available now? Oh, yeah.
Enter your email to start streaming D-Trans for free right now.
Oh, okay. This tonight.
You're going to watch it tonight?
No, I'm looking into it tonight.
Oh, okay. I was like, dang, how late are you going to stay up, Danny?
I might watch it another day. Yeah, I know. That's how much I want to see this movie.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. And maybe the chat can tell me if you agree with this or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can usually tell who the bad guys are in any like historical abuse by who stands to gain the most money from it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a few examples. Okay, who are the bad guys in slavery? The people who were making money from it. Who were the bad guys in Nazi Germany? The people who were making money from it. Believe it or not, the Germans plundered the Jewish population of all their wealth and all their possessions and all their property, and used it for themselves, and used that, right? Who are the people who profited the most during the basically this like we call it the scandemic that happened recently? The vaccine companies, the government, they made billions of dollars in profits from that. The real question you need to ask in this scenario: who is making the most money from these trans movements? The answer: the people who are making just ridiculous amounts of money from all these surgeries. And by the way, this is a very insanely lucrative. That like the Nashville, like Matt Walsh did a full expose of the Nashville clinic. The reason why they decided to go ahead and start doing the transgender surgeries in that clinic was because somebody told them how much money they were.
Yeah.
Second they found out, they're like, "Oh, that's a lot of money. We'll take it."
Yep.
And it was almost guaranteed by the American government. So this is exploitation on.
Now, of course, movie night. I'd have to ask permission. Would it be a film that would be interesting to have like a movie night set up on the channel?
That would be interesting.
Like if I got it, like I would have to contact PragerU, which I could do, and be like, hey, like can we do like a live show where we watch this and have people watch along?
I don't know. That'd be tricky.
Well, because like they're not selling it. Like they're letting people stream it for free.
Yeah, it would be like a reaction video. You know,
it
like
would be
videos for like TV shows. Like I've seen reaction videos. What do you call it? The Mandalorian. Or
but like typically the reaction videos to the Mandalorian, they don't live stream the show. They film themselves and then they record and then they take snippets.
Yeah.
Whereas this would be like a live reaction of the entire thing.
Yeah, if it's monetized, but I don't think we're monetized.
Well, no, Twitch is always like people can, if people want to, not forcing anybody, then they can. I'm fairly certain there is a way that you can donate. I don't know how.
Right.
But there is a way.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like we're not monetized and making any profit from this kind of stuff. So maybe there's a possibility.
Yeah,
but still,
it's worth a shot to ask.
Absolutely. But this is something that I really like. These are the kind of things that make a real cultural impact. There's a lot of movies right now that documentaries that I think are going to make. This is one. There's that one from Dinesh Salsa about the police state that I also want to see because it talks about how America is not a police state, but it's definitely a police state. And there's a lot of other ones that I'm looking forward to seeing. There's another one, Stephen, that is coming out soon. Tim Pool sponsored. What's her name? Lauren Southern. Infringed is the documentary, and I'm looking forward to checking that one out as well. So definitely. This, by the way, for anybody who's listening, if you want to know how do you make a cultural impact, the best way that you can make a cultural impact of any kind is by sharing content that you find beneficial or powerful with other people. That's the best way you can make an
Okay,
impact.
so Veldrain sent us this link. So
What is it?
I think
Blair
it's
White.
Blair White being based. So
Yes.
let's watch, and then we'll probably have to sign off for the show because it is 11:30.
Yeah, we're almost at 3
and
hours.
I have to be at work at 7.
Yes, you do.
So let's watch.
Non-binary and trans at the same time. I believe non-binary is under the trans umbrella. I'm neither, I am both, I am beyond.
I completely reject how non-binary people specifically have injected themselves into the trans label. I am a transsexual. There's a medical basis for that. There's a scientific basis for that. And for non-binary, it's really not the case. I think that non-binary is more of a political term than anything else, which is why I've never met a non-binary Republican, non-binary Libertarian. It's clearly an invention of the left.
There is so much variance. You are not a trans woman of color. You are not a poor trans woman. You have
Right,
different
but-
experiences as a trans person.
Yeah, everything's nuanced, but at the end of the day, there's a very fine line between someone who's a transsexual.
You don't know my life. You don't
I'm
know
not
my
saying,
experiences with
you don't
gender
know we don't know
dysphoria.
each other's life. I'm not saying that. Like, you're not trans. Like, there's a medical definition of being a transsexual.
I'm gonna stop you. Jamie, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
You okay?
So I identify as non-binary.
Oh my gosh!
Oh boy!
Oh, that was too much.
So much.
It's like, again, the person's getting schooled, and it's like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
We need to refocus and make sure everyone remembers you're the victim.
Yeah.
It's like back to victim status. Back to victim status. It's
Okay,
like,
now,
what
like,
the-
I forget exactly how Blair White tries to kind of separate transsexual and transgender.
Who knows? It's not all work.
Yeah, because I think it's
Transsexual is weird.
I think it's more of like a variation of intersex is what Blair White is trying to say.
Sure.
And like that intersex is of course something that is genetically based, like 100%.
Yeah,
it is something that is like it's not 100%.
Let me put it this way: it's based on reality.
Yes, it's more based on reality than someone like Leah Thomas.
Let me put it in a very simple, in a way that a 4-year-old. This is my arm, but it's actually a claw. It's an eagle's claw.
Yeah,
that's basically the transgender, claims. It's like, I'm non-binary. Can you prove it? I'm non-binary. Do you have any way of like verifying that?
I'm non-binary.
That's literally all they say. It's like, what evidence would they have to show it?
I should have worn my Ben Shapiro shirt. I'm gonna wear it when we go to the show in 2 weeks. I actually have a Facts Don't Care What You're Feeling shirt.
Love it.
With Ben Shapiro's face on it.
Way to trigger the left.
So I'm gonna take that to his show.
Love it.
When we do okay, we're at 3 hours, so that's basically where we're gonna end it. Thank you for everybody who was participating in the live chat. It was great. So of course, if you want to support us, then of course follow us on Twitch. And you can check us out on our other video content platforms, YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble. And then you want to check out our text platforms for like blog posts and for kind of things that we post on a day-to-day basis. Then you can check us out on theshrewddudes.com, on Facebook, Gitter, and Twitter. That is, yes, a great analysis by Patriot Concierge.
Yeah.
Good work.
Non-binary is for the lukewarm trannies.
Yes. And then in a few weeks, so on November the 16th, we will not be having a show in the typical fashion. We will try and do, I think we're going to try and do a variation of what we did on the couple Saturdays ago when we went to the protest. And we're going to hope that there's reasonable lighting. And just because we want to do some filming, I'm probably going to be I'm going to link up the Twitch to my phone, and I will live stream.
What day is this too, Steven?
This is November the 16th. We will be live streaming from Ben Shapiro's show here in Calgary at the Grey Eagle Event Center. And so what we're going to try and do... Yep. So Danny will probably be, I would think, probably live streaming to Facebook. I'm going to be trying to live stream to Twitch, so you can still watch here. It's going to be interesting. I might try and have somebody I might try and kind of enlist my friend Cade to help us out in terms of doing kind of making sure we keep track of the live chat. Might not be able to, just because of the fact that starting next week I have to be up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, really? That sucks, man.
Yep. So, but I'm willing to stay up later for the show.
Yeah, it's a commitment this time.
Commitment.
All
right. So before we kind of head out for the weekend, Danny, start us out.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Really enjoy the chat. We enjoy talking about facts. And yeah, we're the Shrewd Dudes. We like to encourage Shrewd to engage in dialogue with precision and tact. And our motto, as always, is "And you can be shrewd." Thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you on Tuesday for our regular Tuesday live stream. We like to affectionately call it the Tuesday Newsday. And yeah, we encourage you to keep fighting the good fight, especially out in Germany and in Israel. Keep it up, people. You guys are awesome.
And in America.
See you again soon next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
All right. Yeah. Have a good weekend. God bless.